Hello. Regular viewers of the Incredibly Strange Film Show will know that we like to emphasise the strange. This week, however, we'll be meeting a man who can quite honestly be called incredible. This is downtown Kowloon, where he's directing his latest movie, The Miracle, set in Hong Kong in the 1930s. A film he's also written, he's producing, he's starring in, and, as if that wasn't quite enough, he's also doing all his own incredible stunts. The Incredibly Strange Film Show proudly presents Mr. Jackie Chan. Amazing city. Perhaps the most amazing thing about it being the weather. This is the middle of the summer. So if you're expecting beautiful travelogue-style shots of crowded street markets and the sun glinting off Hong Kong's many beautiful skyscrapers, then you can forget it. It has been chucking it down by the bucket load since we got here. Anyway, you don't want to hear about my problems or the weather. You want to hear the amazing story of Jackie Chan. And what a tale it is. This is a clip from Armour of God, Jackie's all-time box office record breaker, a kind of Chinese Raiders of the Lost Ark. But Jackie's a lot more than just an oriental Harrison fool. You wouldn't catch Harrison doing this. You see, Jackie insists on always doing his own stunts. Stunts that, when added to his own special brand of comedy and action, have assured him a legion of adoring fans. Jackie is big business. His 10 most recent films have earned over $150 million, and he can add to his extraordinary film career a string of hit albums, a couple of clothes shops, a high-tech gym, and a massive sponsorship deal with Mitsubishi cars, all masterminded by Jackie with his partner, Willie Chan.
I'm lucky I'm becoming a star. Then I know the audience. I'm not handsome. I'm not something different.
Well, I don't know, I think some girls outside might say you were a bit handsome, Jackie.
And I just do the audience like me, just see my movement, maybe my funny face, and these kind of things. So this is why I know the audience, they come in just to see me. It's to see Jackie Chan. It's not see the double. So this is why I decide to do the dangerous stunt myself.
Jackie, it's more the boy next door, you know, the underdog. And if he succeeds, it's only because of his hard work and perhaps an element of luck. And I think the audience accepts that. It becomes easy for them to identify with Jackie. They sort of say to them, well, if this big-nosed guy, this ugly guy can make it, well, it gives them hope, you know, that they, too, maybe someday can make it.
anytime when I'm doing the stunt, I hate standing upstairs, waiting. Ready? Wait a minute, the lighting. Wait a minute. I said, God damn it. Then I'm coming down. I don't want to standing there to waiting. If you keep waiting, keep thinking, what happened? Maybe my arm was broke. Maybe my leg. Probably I would die. Probably. No, many things you think. If you're in downstairs, everything okay? Okay. When I go upstairs, rolling, okay? Then I go inside, okay, rolling! You forget all the things. You just do it. You just do it. You just do it. Just do it.
Why is Jackie the big success that no one else is?
Well, geez, in America, at any rate, he brings back the sort of thrills that I imagine early audiences got out of the works of, say, Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton, because, I mean, these films are shot silently, so basically it's a completely physical experience that we haven't seen the likes of since those early days. And he has the same sort of humor and enjoyment of life and energy that those silent comedians had.
Although Jackie was born in China, his parents emigrated to Australia when he was very young, not returning here to Hong Kong with him until he was 7. They then enrolled him in a Chinese drama academy, where he studied the classical forms of fighting, acting, singing and dancing that is known as Peking opera. Like so much of old Hong Kong, these schools have all but disappeared, but a new film called Painted Faces is all about Jackie and the Peking opera troupe he performed with, called The Seven Little Fortunes. In the film, the young Jackie is given the rather unflattering nickname Big Nose. The Peking Opera School is it's kind of unknown to English audience. I had no idea what a Peking Opera School would be like. What did you study there?
Studied there, I was I sleep there, eat there, I lived there, and my father was moved to Australia, so I just stay in the school. We pay at that time $30 per month, and just from 5 o'clock in the morning training until midnight, 12 o'clock. Just keep on training.
Abib, 哇，你做咩啊？話到鴛鴦面，走過。1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8。出嚟㗎！好啲啊！一字馬。
We have many different teachers. Some teacher teach you how to sing. Some teacher teach you fight, punch. Some teacher teach you kicking, knife fight. Everything.
These are all traditional skills.
Yes. Right on the contract, if I hit you, if you die, it's okay. Yes.
There's some great fights in the playground there. As you can see, Jackie isn't the only one who throws himself around. His hand-picked team of stuntmen are absolutely vital to his success, and they not only perform, but also help Jackie to choreograph exhausting sequences like this.
撞埋嚟走，我飛身揸住個橫額，橫額撕斷，叉一路落，你知唔知啊？叉，但係要一路呢個好大工程啦。即係你明唔明白係一路難啊
Here they are with Jackie on the set of his new movie, planning the final fight scene, which must be not only exciting, but also innovative if Jackie is to keep ahead of the competition.
嚇！一隻收都好撚辛苦啊！一撞起身佢落車，呢度落車架車，一閃，砰個車碌撚咗落去，即係唔好話連人帶車飛落去。I have 17 stuntmen. Everyone give me one idea tomorrow. Then 17 idea coming back, no good. Then the set almost done, then they're coming back again. They look, because the audience always want to see Jackie something new. Very difficult. Been fighting 30 years, 100 Hong Kong fighting movie. Everybody wants new. Why I'm different? So very difficult. But I try very hard.
Jackie, one of the things that I found when I watch the movies is the action is so fast, the fights are so fast, it's almost unbelievable. You must speed them up, surely?
No, we are not. A lot of people thinking we're speeding up. It's not. Because we're fighting, we're training all my stunt guys almost every day. We know. Right now, we should speed slower. It's very difficult for us, is because the companies, the Western people, they can see. When I fight with the American stunt guy, like a 3-punch, see? Our stuntman can do this reaction, boom, boom, boom. No, bang, down, down. But after I 3-punch, the American stuntman first reaction.
Yeah.
See, bang, bang, bang. So why I speed quick? I'm quick enough. See? Why I'm now
almost so.
No, now what we're doing just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
We speed up slow.
This is the Shaw Brothers studio, which for many years dominated Hong Kong cinema with the traditional and, by today's standards, old-fashioned kind of martial arts movies that Jackie grew up watching. In the early 70s, most kung fu movies were shot here, and in fact, if you're a fan, you've probably seen this street hundreds of times. It was at that time that Jackie started to work as a bit-part actor, stuntman and martial arts choreographer. But ironically, today, it's Jackie's own movies that keep this place going. This enormous set recreates the city of Shanghai in the 1930s, where Jackie Chan's new film, The Miracle, takes place. Back in the 70s, when you were first starting out, did you shoot any movies here at Shaw Brothers?
Yes, there was a long time ago. I was a stuntman here before. After I worked with Golden Harvest. I think after 6 years, 7 years.
About how many movies did you make?
Oh, totally. When I was 7-child actor?
When you were doing the stunt work? And...
Well, if with my child movie, I think more than 100.
100 movies?
Yes.
When you were back here doing the stunts and stuff and you weren't acting or didn't have big parts, did you ever think you'd be back here starring and maybe directing as well?
I don't know. And that time I just... The timing is not so good. Sometimes the action movie coming up, everybody want to watch the action movie, but they finally, almost every movie is same. Fighting, fighting, fighting. No reason fighting. Why you look at me, then keep fighting. Fight 10 minutes, the audience get boring.
You can't underestimate the importance of Bruce Lee in martial arts cinema. It was his popularity that created an international market for kung fu movies, and his death in 1973 threw the Hong Kong industry into a panic. Studios searched desperately for a replacement, and it seemed as if anyone who could throw a decent punch was offered a chance, which was how Jackie came to star in his first movie, The New Fist of Fury, billed as the new Bruce Lee, which he quite patently wasn't.
I think we had a list once of about 25 guys with names like Bruce Lai, Bruce Le, Bruce Ree, Bruce... A lot of Bruces and a lot of Lees. There was Dragon Lee, there was Conan Lee, there's Bronson Lee, that was one of our favorites. And recently they've had a Bruce Ree come out, B-L-U-S, you know, it just, everybody was supposed to be the new Bruce Lee or the resurrected Bruce Lee or the reincarnated Bruce Lee.
Jackie's early films, 8 in 2 years, were not successful, and the company he worked for would almost certainly have given up on him if he hadn't been under contract for a few more movies. But instead of making those films with him, they loaned him out to another company, and there his rise to stardom began.
Sit still. A fart for the Stick King. That's called hungry dog eats shit. Huh? Damn you.
Jackie started kung fu comedy. You know, he wants to show the audience that if I beat you, it's only because maybe of my hard work or my luck. You know, a lot of things helped me. He showed the kids, the audience, that if you punch somebody, sure you hurt that somebody, but you get hurt yourself too. You know, it's a comic approach to the whole thing. Nobody can be as good as Bruce. Even in reality, you can be better, you fight better, you kick better, you can never be Bruce, you know. So let's make kung fu comedy, you know, let's give it another treatment. And I guess he just, what do you say, hit the nail on the head? Yeah.
Get out of the way! What's going on? This is no place to run around.
No one does kung fu comedy better than Jackie Chan, and this is my favourite scene from his 1983 smash, Project A.
Who is it? Crazy fool! There he is!
I know that you do your own stunts as an actor, but also you're directing the movie, you're writing the movie, you're producing the movie. So if something goes wrong with you, then basically there is no movie. So how on earth do you get insurance when you're doing these kind of incredibly dangerous stunts?
Many years ago, I have insurance. But after I do a couple of dangerous stunts, the insurance stopped. Now, including my stuntman, nobody insurance, no company.
Of course, I would like him to take more precautions when he's doing the stunts. When I say take more precautions, because I've given up trying to ask him not to do his own stunts anymore, because it's hopeless. He will never listen to me. So all I can do is to, make him take more caution, take more precautions.
But with all the precautions in the world, accidents can happen. And while filming Armour of God in Yugoslavia, Jackie suffered a near-fatal one. For Jackie, this seemed a comparatively easy stunt, and take one went without a hitch, but he insisted on going for it again, with disastrous consequences. Let me see that again. What actually happened then? So the stunt is you have to get to the wall, yeah?
Yes, I was missed. Then
you missed the branch?
Yeah, from the camera, another camera angle was here. If the cameraman can push me a little bit, I can save. But he take the camera, run away.
He'd rather save the camera than you. That's not. Does he still work with you, or you fire him?
No, he's Yugoslavian.
Well, that's the Yugoslavians for you.
Yeah, if Hong Kong cameramen, they know.
They catch you.
They catch me. He just moved the camera.
What did you do? You hit your head?
I hit my head in the rock.
And how seriously were you injured?
Right now, I think nothing. But at that time, all my stuntmen crying. My manager crying.
I read in one of the newspaper reports that there was some of your skull lodged near your brain after this. Is that true? Some of the bone is near your brain?
Now have a hole. Hole, they take off the bone, they put the plastic.
This. Oh yeah,
There's a hole.
There's a hole in your head.
You feel this.
Now I know why you can't get insured. Yeah. Yeah, it's vibrating.
Huh?
That's. You should be. Well, you could work with Paul Daniels or something.
So right now, when I'm fighting, I'm very concentrated.
Yeah.
In this side. So this one, my hand. You know, when you're fighting, the stuntman can be missed.
Yes.
I really scared this side because I scared sometimes. Pop, pop, it's gone.
What about? But when you did the stunt, let me stop this for a second. When you actually had that accident, didn't you think maybe, well, look, I'm successful. I've made my money. I can't be any more famous, really. You are world famous already. Didn't you think maybe I'll give it up and have a nice, quiet life?
No. This is my life. I love to making a movie.
Jackie's films are popular and fun to watch, but not always fun to make. He can be a very demanding director.
We were on the location, and Jackie told me one day, in the next shot you would have to bounce off. I just looked at him and said, you're joking. And I went, no, you're serious. No, I'm not going to do it, no. And I just burst into tears and started crying. And I said, no, don't make me do that, I'm so scared.
I said, okay, you do it. You're crazy. What do you think? I'm a woman. They're crying. I said, okay. Then I said, are you stubborn? No, I'm do it. Then she do it.
Let's have a look at the other stunt, the one where she's running through the shell.
I tell Maggie, if any happen, we get married.
And did you?
No, yeah, I say that.
But did you get married?
No.
So you didn't keep your promise?
No, because nothing happened.
Well, she had an accident.
Yes, but
not bad enough.
If you... Oh, this one.
This is it, let's see. This is Police Story 2, yeah?
Yes. Boom.
Let's see that again. Oh, was that the first take?
Yeah, the second take.
So she'd already done it once?
Jackie wasn't on my location. He was doing something else. And they just asked me to do that shot. I didn't really want to do it at the time because I didn't have much confidence. But then I did it, and the timing was wrong. The things, it's like the dominoes, you know, how they fall off one by one.
Suddenly the director come, make you get hurt. I said, okay, get hurt, take a rest. No, real hurt. I said, what happened? Almost see the bomb. I said, where is she? In the hospital. Oh, I was scared, really scared.
So how badly hurt were you?
I had 17 stitches on my head, and I stayed in the hospital for a week.
This is another stunt that went disastrously wrong. These guys were supposed to land on that specially prepared car. Instead, they landed in hospital. With all the accidents, have there ever been any deaths on the set? Have any stuntmen ever died filming with you?
Not died, but almost.
Jackie's audience are well aware of just how dangerous his stunts are, and for the last few years he's ended his movies with a selection of mistakes and outtakes. How important is it for you to be successful in America?
Right now is not that important. 7 years before, I tried very hard to get in the American market because I know I have an Asian market, I have a Japan market, and so this is why I want to break in the American market. So this is why I try to make first. I make like a Big Brawl, Battle Creek Brawl.
Battle Creek Brawl was Jackie's first attempt to break into the lucrative American market. But deprived of his own stunt team and the level of control he was used to, neither the action nor the comedy were up to his usual standards.
The directors that they've paired him with, the American or English or European directors that they have paired him with, have never been to his level of quality, even as a director. I mean, Jackie's a far better director of himself than anybody else, but even worse, they give him a director who just doesn't understand what Jackie does, and sometimes I get the impression they don't even understand what they do as directors.
I try to get in Cannonball 1, Cannonball 2. I hope the audience go to the theater, see Burt Reynolds, Samuel David Jr. Ah, this is Jackie.
Cannonball Run was a huge success, but unfortunately for Jackie, there were just too many stars to choose from, and once again, he failed to make the international impact he longed for. How about Cannonball Run? How well did that suit Jackie?
It suited him fine, except since it was such a quick film. I mean, The director of the director of that film, Hal Needham, always liked to do things. He was known for doing shots very, very quickly. So again, Jackie didn't have an enormous amount of time to set up really spectacular stunts. He was just, I mean, he was working on sand, which is very difficult to leap and kick from anyway. So he just knocked out a couple of motorcycle guys. It's the closest thing America has gotten to Jackie's ability.
Cannonball made a lot of money for the production company, but unfortunately it's too small a role for Jackie. Jackie likes to be in control of everything in his movies. There are no unions here, there's nothing. I mean, the director is the biggest thing. So Jackie is involved with the script writing, with the editing, with the shooting, with the martial arts choreographing, everything, casting, everything. In America, it's so specialized. Jackie was just an actor. He was not even the martial arts director. He had no say in the whole movie.
So, for the moment at least, Jackie has shelved his plans for world movie domination and instead is concentrating on the market and audience he knows best. Jackie's not only a respected and accomplished filmmaker, he's also a mega heartthrob. And there's one thing that no Jackie Chan film set would be complete without, and that's a complement of giggling fans like this group who have flown in from Japan especially for the occasion. Everywhere we've been since we've been out here, we have seen Jackie fans.
Yes.
Mainly it seems from Japan who've come to see him. Now, how popular is he? Does he have a fan club?
He sure does. And his membership now is more than 12,000, I think. But the stronghold being Japan. I mean, the fans in Japan are just crazy about Jackie.
Well, I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit late, but I managed to get in to what is probably the biggest event in Hong Kong this evening. You guessed it, it's Jackie Chan's 35th birthday party. And not only is Jackie buying dinner for me, but also all of his stuntmen, the biggest stars in Hong Kong cinema, and, of course, his ubiquitous Japanese fans. One, two, three. Happy birthday, Jackie! Why do you like Jackie Chan? Have you got him for his birthday? Have you bought him a gift? What did you buy him? A nice shirt. What did you buy him? What? A doll. My heart. Oh, your heart. Oh, that's nice. What about you? Do you have a present for Jackie?
Same.
The same? You all want to give Jackie your heart? How much longer can you keep doing the stunts?
I think 3 more years or 4 more years. Depends how good I am. I like to do action. You know, I like to kind of like a show off. I have a lot of things to show to audience what I can do.
Yeah. Talk me through this stunt then. There's something like this which is kind of crucial to all of your films. This is Police Story 2, I think.
Yes.
How much planning went into this scene?
Almost 1 week.
Unbelievable risk you're taking there. You could have got killed, couldn't you?
Yes. I almost get killed by my own stuntman.
So that van hit you?
Yes.
And that's someone you employ?
Yes. I'm lucky.
Maybe you should find some better drivers to work for you, Jackie.
No, I tell because a couple of times he's scared. He just stopped right away, not hit me, just tick. I said because shoot on the street, a lot of people seeing just Jackie sign, you know, they yelling us, quiet, filming, come on, hit me. Then he hit me. Almost died.
What did you say to him?
Good job. Yeah, good job. He was sorry. I said, no, good job. Someday I die. The history book, movie history book. The John Wayne, the Bruce Lee, Jackie. Enough. If you have too much money, nothing. After you die, nobody knows. So this is why I hope someday I make good movie. Can put in the Chinese, not the international Chinese museum, movie museum. Yeah, this. I'm quite happy.
There are so many great moments in Jackie's films that it's almost impossible to choose just one. But we'll leave you with this incredible scene from Police Story, where Jackie is being pursued by bad guys through this shanty town, all of which was purpose-built for this one stunt. This is, of course, Hollywood, the glamorous capital of the film world, where all would-be directors eventually wind up. But for every one that makes it big here, for every George Lucas or Steven Spielberg, there are literally dozens who never get past the studio gates. And tonight we thought we'd look at two such people, two distinctly different directors. Later on we'll meet Doris Wishman, the woman responsible for some of the most bizarre exploitation films of the 60s and 70s. But first let's say hello to the modern master of low-budget cricket, Mr. Fred Olen Ray.
her get out. Well, she's in there. Okay, fine. Right here.
35-year-old Fred Olen Ray is probably Hollywood's most prolific director.
I'm going to have to draw one of those pictures right now.
He's the new king of the B-movies, churning out feature films for the price of pop videos.
Here's a shot. Okay, Alex, get out of there.
22, take one.
Once Fred gets in the mood for filming, there's just no stopping him. Only last week, he decided to finally finish his movie Demon Sword. But after he'd gone to the trouble of assembling a cast and a crew, he thought, why stop at just one film? Why not make another? Which is how his new movie, Bad Girls from Mars, began.
Look at Dr. Dog!
With a budget of just £40,000 and a 5-day shoot, one take is all he has time for. And just about everything that happens while the cameras are rolling will end up in the finished movie.
Most people are lucky to do one film a year. I can do maybe five a year. It keeps me entertained, keeps me off the streets.
How many films have you made altogether?
I think I've directed about 17 or 18. I think I've produced about 3 or 4 more beyond that. So probably the whole... I've ghost directed on some shows and ghost produced on some shows. So I probably had my hand in about 25 features over a 5-year period of time.
Hold on now, Sam. Sam, now, you're not still sore about that headbutt, are you? Come on, have a heart.
This is one of Fred's most recent epics, the wonderfully titled Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Shot over 2 weekends, it was the first film to be released by Fred's own newly formed company.
We started making our own films as sort of a slap in the face to those people that told us what to do. And so within our budget range, we're able to do anything we want. I can make any kind of picture that I can afford to. I cast anybody I want, I'll write the script any way I want, I have final cut, I pick the composer, the title, everything. And that's it. And that's it. It's my vacation. It's unfortunately that my hobby and my profession happen to be the same thing. But the little films are our vacation away from the bigger companies that have a tendency to kind of push you and your films around when you work for them.
No, there won't be any more.
This is The Alien Dead, one of Fred's earliest attempts at a feature film. To raise the meagre amount of cash needed to shoot this extravaganza, Fred first borrowed money off his mother, and when that ran out, he secured a loan from a local bank using his motorbike as collateral. At the time, Fred was working at a Florida television station. Why did you decide to come to Hollywood after The Alien Dead?
Somebody made me mad. I think I didn't get the raise I wanted at the station. And to show them all, I said, I'll quit and go become a movie director in Hollywood. I had $180 and I got in my car and I drove here.
Face it, you don't just waltz into a town like Hollywood and just make a movie. Come on.
Things went pretty badly after that for a while, but eventually, I turned it all around.
So how long was it before you managed to start working in films here?
Well, I mean, I got a job here almost immediately, freelancing special effects, makeup and stuff.
I'll tell you what I can do for you. I can probably get you started out doing some crewing work on a couple of films, maybe, just to get your feet wet, help you learn a few things about the ropes. And meanwhile, I want you to keep working up on these great ideas, okay?
We made Scalps the next summer. I mean, I got here in December, November, and by the next summer I was shooting Scalps.
She did not know she was calling evil spirits of the past. They did not listen to the warnings before digging up the sacred ground of the dead.
I'm feeling the evil in this ground. It's alive with evil. Stop it!
It was just pretty dreadful. I mean, it was a dreadful movie. But, we got our foot in the door.
And what were the reviews like for Scalps?
Well, it was Dog of the Week on sneak previews, which I was very proud. I had to call my mom and tell her about it. And they said it looked like it was edited with a tomahawk and that it had made their dog throw up his dinner. And I mean, I thought that was a pat on the back.
Hold your head in fear that you are next. The only movie that you may not be strong enough to watch to the end.
Scalps was a movie you made with friends. Did you learn anything from that experience?
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I think every film you do, you learn something, don't you? I don't know. I think I probably learned not to do that again, And I learned I didn't really like scalping and raping girls on camera, I didn't find that entertaining. I didn't find it fun to shoot, And so I stopped that. I stopped that sort of thing. So we really don't have rapes or drug abuse or stuff like that in the films because I just don't find that entertaining. You know, I don't mind women abusing men. In fact, I kind of like that, but I don't like abuse toward women in films. I don't enjoy it.
Many of Fred's films are pretty standard action dramas, aimed mostly at the video market with predictable plots and seemingly endless car chases.
How do the low budgets you work with actually affect the films? Do you find yourself making use of stuff that's just available?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think sometimes we've made entire films around the fact that something's standing that cost someone else a lot of money and wouldn't cost us much. I think we've actually made entire movies because a set was standing or costumes were available or a vehicle of some futuristic sort was for rent. And when we did Phantom Empire, it was a case of that. I mean, everything in that movie was from someone else's movie. You know, the Logan's Run, Land Rover, Robbie the Robot. There was a big human barbecue spit from History of the World, Mel Brooks movie.
Hey, watch it, buddy!
Everything was from somewhere else. Even the costumes and things were from other movies.
In fact, for many of Fred's fans, it is this remarkable ability to cut corners that makes his films so enjoyable.
The same thing again. I wrote just enough of a script to get it get the scenes in the cans. I remember we went to Zodi's, which is like a Kmart, and bought Flash Dance sweatshirts and stuff and cut them up and made the prison outfits out of them.
Mike! Mike, it's me, Squeaker. Say something. Squeaker, sit down.
We used the Logan's Run Land Rover again. We used some more Metal Storm costumes, and we used all the spaceships were from Dark Star, Buck Rogers, and Battle Beyond the Stars. So there wasn't a single model shot in the whole film that we did ourselves. So yeah, it was kind of culled from a lot of garbage cans there too.
Does it frustrate you that you have to borrow other people's bits and pieces to make your movie?
No, I love doing it. For a couple bucks, you can rent what cost someone else a lot of money, and it made my film look fantastic.
The Sovereign's High Command has found you guilty of murdering Zal, the Taoist priest, and 2 of His Majesty's troopers. For these acts of insanity, I sentence you to the prison ship Vehemence, where you will live in chains for the next 7 years, or until you die, whichever first occurs.
Now, using someone like John Carradine, his name presumably doesn't have quite the pulling power it used to, but is it still something which helps sell a movie?
I don't know. I think it just helped our morale. You know what I mean? Because it's the same thing, you grow up as a kid watching him turn into a bat, and he was a big horror star. And then there he is. He's sitting there. He's in your movie. And that always amazed me that, you know, I'm just a kid, you know, or just starting out. And some of these people who you grow up admiring, now they're asking you what you think. You know, somebody who might have been bothered just to give you an autograph 15 years ago, now you're their employer. And they want to know what you want, and they'll do what you tell them to. And I mean, you feel like you just really don't have the right to be telling people like John Carradine how to do their job. So I don't.
Now, using someone like John Carradine, his name presumably doesn't have quite the pulling power it used to, but is it still something which helps sell a movie?
I don't know. I think it just helped our morale. You know what I mean? Because it's the same thing, you grow up as a kid watching him turn into a bat, and he was a big horror star. And then there he is. He's sitting there. He's in your movie. And that always amazed me that, you know, I'm just a kid, you know, or just starting out. And some of these people who you grow up admiring, now they're asking you what you think. You know, somebody who might have been bothered just to give you an autograph 15 years ago, now you're their employer. And they want to know what you want, and they'll do what you tell them to. And I mean, you feel like you just really don't have the right to be telling people like John Carradine how to do their job. So I don't.
Do you still feel that you're a fan?
Absolutely. I'm a fan before I'm a filmmaker. I'm a fan who became a filmmaker, I guess. I think one of them had something to do a lot with the other.
Fred's biggest budget movie saw vintage actors Lee Van Cleef and David Carradine teamed up in a film called Armed Response.
Come on, old man.
Drop the knife.
Fred's films may not be everyone's cup of tea, but they're clearly fun to work on.
These movies allow, especially women, to do fun, strong, interesting characters. My fans just love that. Big mouth, small brain.
A lot of people accuse him of being a one-take director. Thank goodness he is.
Brace yourself.
You feel like you could be a horse, a thoroughbred, and if he's astride you, he's gonna know how to whip you, when to whip you, where to rein you in, pull you back, and sail across the hurdles as they come.
Alienator.
In a few short years, Fred established himself as a man capable of delivering low-budget pictures that invariably made money, but not for him.
I realized that somebody was getting wealthy off of these. I was on a set price per picture, and someone else was making a mint. And so we thought, well, the real key to this business is to control the film, control what happens to it, and be the first guy in line to collect the money. And so we decided we would start trying to take some of the money we were making and make our own little pictures that we owned.
Tonight, oh Horace, we offer you a new disciple, a fresh, untouched flower to adorn the crown of the gods. We, your humble slaves, offer you the virgin dance of the double chainsaws.
It's about an ancient Egyptian chainsaw worshiping cult operating in LA. And that's pretty much it. It's a sort of a Raymond Chandler detective comedy. I say it's a comedy. The people at the MPAA, the ratings board, said, well, some people might think this is funny, but we don't.
For a moment there, I thought I was paralyzed. Then I noticed my hands and feet were tied.
Hey, sister, what's with the bondage routine here, huh?
Just didn't want you running away before I could get to know you better.
Well, that was it. I've been played for a 14-karat gold-plated goof one more time. If there was an award for suckers given out annually, I'd have to buy a bigger mantelpiece.
When it comes to selling low-budget movies, any name star, no matter how minor, will help. And one of Fred's films from last year, Beverly Hills Vampire, is a case in point. Although she only worked on the movie for one day, top billing goes to Britt Eklund, who plays the madam of a high-class brothel staffed by vampires. Well, she would, wouldn't she?
What the hell is going on here? Can't you see I'm entertaining?
What I was trying to do was I was trying to make another picture similar to Chainsaw, but without all the violence that held the other picture back. And it's almost the same story. It's about three kids who come to Hollywood wanting to be movie makers and get hold of a sex newspaper. And they call up one of the ads and go and they meet some girls in a mansion who are all vampires.
I know you, young man. You're the one that couldn't quite make it the other night.
I already explained that to you. I got this girlfriend back home.
I am so sick and tired of hearing about that little bitch.
You resisted my affection last time. Now, you will belong to me.
You don't impress me.
Well, I'll have to just try harder.
about Bad Girls from Mars? What's the plot of that film?
Bad Girls from Mars is, again, it's about a low-budget film company making a movie called Bad Girls from Mars.
The star of Bad Girls is Edie Williams, a former Mrs. Ross Meyer.
There's been a series of murders of all the young starlets in town, and Emmanuel Fortes shows up to play the lead, and she receives a series of threatening notes.
Okay, I want to film this. Have you got, Edie, have you got blue underpants?
Yes, she does.
Oh, good, matches, great, good. Thank you. All right, let's go.
Everybody's getting killed, and it turns out that Myra is the killer, but she used to be a man, and she was originally Emmanuel's lover back when she was 18 years old. And that started Emmanuel on her fixation of garbage.
Action. Oh my God, are you okay?
I'm no wetter than usual.
How about your dress? It's ruined.
Oh, it's just something I threw on at the last minute. It'll dry. Please, don't worry.
You must be Emmanuel. I've heard and read so much about it.
Garbage is the one thing that turns the woman on. And when Myra shows up covered in garbage, Emmanuel knows that she knows her because of that. Through a series of struggles and police investigations, we do get to Myra, but not before Myra blows herself and the studio up before the movie can be completed. And it drives the director crazy, and that's the end of the show.
We absolutely had no money at all. No money at all. It's probably the cheapest thing we've ever done. And so we figured the only thing we could afford to put in front of the camera is some naked girls and some actors. So we made a picture with no stunts, no special effects, no horror stuff. Oh, there's a girl's head cut off in a box and some things like that, but it really was just about the cheapest we could possibly do anything, and we just kind of did it on a lark.
And so, just 5 days after it started, Bad Girls from Mars is in the can. Another low-budget epic heading towards the shelves of a video store near you.
Got it. Every once in a while I have to remind myself why I went in the movie business.
When you look back over your films, how do you feel about them all?
There's very few of them that I have any kind of fondness for. I don't like my pictures for the most part. Something always doesn't go quite right. Usually it's, in the low-budget films, it's that you didn't have enough money to do what you really wanted to do, so you did something else, and that slowed everything down, or whatever. But the bigger budget films, you have a tendency to think that they went wrong somewhere else. And I probably, if I hadn't made most of the films, I'd never go see my own pictures if someone else had made them. Because they're just not my cup of tea mostly. I do them because I'm trying to make a living, you know, I'm like most people.
Now, here's a little something I'm developing right now. Sort of a desert epic, you know, like Lawrence of Arabia. It's called Motorcycle Sluts in Heat. Whew. Now there's a love story. Going to take about 5 days to shoot it. Fred Olen Ray is dying to direct.
Our second feature director began her career in the mid-1960s as the only woman making the then popular nudist films shot in camps rather like this one. She was to remain in the world of exploitation films for the rest of her career, and her films just got stranger and stranger.
For the first time on any screen, you will see why gentlemen prefer nature girls. The freedom of body and mind in sun-bathed splendor. A girl who worked at a conventional job, who left her cares and inhibitions behind every weekend when she uncovered the incomparable joys of nudism.
So how was it that you came to make the first film a nudie film? Why did you move towards that particular kind of area?
Well, I can't even answer you except that it was less costly, no clothes. Truly, less costly than making a regular film, I guess, you know. And besides, I knew that they were different, and there was a good chance of the film being very commercial, which it was.
How did you raise the cash for it?
How to raise cash? My family, everybody in my family. I didn't have any outside investors, and I did get credit. I got credit from the laboratory and the optical house and the sound studio, so that I didn't need that much cash.
Read the story on page 1 about the lovers of the sun. Read the story in the news about the sun lovers blues.
Although they look tame today, in the early 1960s, these films were hot stuff. And as the nudie movies boom swept the United States, Doris was there, camera in hand, to cash in.
Then I can't seem to lose them, no how.
Zelda Suplee, who was head of the camp at the time, said we all had to be nude, and I said I wouldn't do it. So when my cameraman called, and I thought, well, the cameraman wouldn't want to be nude either, and then that was the end of the whole idea. But when he called, and I said, Ray, I said, you know, we can't do the picture because we have to be nude. He said, oh, great. But I still wouldn't do it until Zelda said, well, I'll let you do it without being nude if you wear something very simple. Well, of course I would wear something simple. It was hot. It was in the summertime. So I wore top and, shorts. And we shot that way.
How did you feel about shooting the nudity? Did that embarrass you at all?
At first it did, but like everything else, you get accustomed to it.
In sunshine or in rain, a nudist is still a nudist. For there is no way of life to compare with these health-loving, fun-loving pursuits. Watch the incomparable marvel of the female form at play and at rest. This is life as you have never experienced it before.
Were you the only woman working in that field that you know?
To my knowledge, I was the only woman.
And how was that? How did you get treated?
Like a woman.
Well, you're going to have to fill me in there because I'm a man. So how is a woman treated?
Very nicely. I had some good friends. I had one friend who was exceptionally nice. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Dave Friedman.
Doris was very embarrassed a lot of times. And particularly when the men would come out with nothing on, and Doris would avert her face. Well, it's entirely different for a woman than a man in going into one of these things. As I say, Doris was not like the girls that inhabited these nudist camps. She was a very respectable, nice little lady who worked in an office and came down there and was just kind of really shocked at what she was doing.
What sets Doris apart from other exploitation filmmakers are her gimmicks. She always manages to find a different angle, like in Nude on the Moon.
You will actually see it happen. The search for a secret paradise, where a strange race of moon dolls rules supreme. Man enters a new civilization. Through his eyes, you will see a fascinating and unbelievable new world. Here he discovers a nature camp on the moon.
The two scientists decide to go to the moon, which they do. When they get to the moon and they're exploring, they find this nudist colony. And, of course, they're aghast because they've never seen anything like it.
I have summoned you all here for a most important matter. Are these two strangers who have suddenly appeared in our midst our friends, or do they come as enemies?
They only have 3 weeks there. They must go back to Earth or else they will die. The younger of the two scientists doesn't want to go back because he falls in love with the Queen.
Now, Jeff, really, remember what we came here for. Now, come on, will you please? We've got to do some work. I was speaking to the Queen here. Yes, but she doesn't speak. Now, you know that. Jeff, you're acting like a schoolboy.
You know what? I feel like a schoolboy. I've never felt like this in my life. We are getting along very well.
But don't forget we're scientists.
Okay, see you later.
That's a good shot, Jeff. Take that, too.
And it had to be shown just what a great thing nudism was. So that was the whole raison d'etre, so to speak, for nudist camp pictures. But mainly is because the state of New York passed them, and there were 15 million horny people in New York ready, willing, and able to pay a couple of bucks to see some broads with no clothes on.
Another day, another man.
By the mid-1960s, censorship laws were relaxed and the novelty of the nudist pictures wore off. So, like most exploitation directors, Doris followed the trend for tougher films with lashings of sex and violence.
Too much. Too often. Indecent desires. A taste of flesh.
What about Bad Girls Go to Hell then, which is it's a fantastic title. Do you think up the
Fantastic
title?
film. I got a fantastic review on it. They compared me to Alfred Hitchcock.
Where was the review?
Where? Variety.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. My
Did you
claim
show
to
that to your
fame.
family?
Hmm?
Did you show that to your family?
Of course. I made 4 million copies.
You. Do you know that bad girls go to hell?
You came up with some pretty salacious plots. Where did you get your ideas from?
You just, when you go to bed at night, that's when you think of them. If you're lucky, you remember them the next morning.
The Amazing Transplant.
The Amazing Transplant. Now, we're getting on some serious movies here, Doris. The Amazing Transplant is a pretty bizarre story.
Yes, it certainly is.
Remind me what the plot is.
No, I'm not going to remind you. You remind me.
Well, I can't remember. It's not.
Oh, come on. Then how do you know it's a bizarre story?
Well, because the little bird told me. What's an Amazing Transplant about?
I'm not going to tell you.
Doris, please, tell me The Amazing Transplant. It's a cracking good film. It's a classic.
Oh, come on. It's embarrassing.
Well, it's embarrassing as well, but it's an embarrassing classic.
The story of a man who's impotent. His best friend dies, and he insists that the man's penis be put on his body. And it is. And he becomes very, you know. And he winds up murdering somebody. Listen, if I tell you the plot, you're not going to see the movie, and then I won't make any money.
Doctor, is Felix really going to die?
I'm afraid so. There's nothing more I can do for him. Nothing at all.
I've become very close to Felix this past year. I'm going to miss him.
Yes? I know how you feel. I'm going to miss him, too. He was a great help to me, and he was a great comfort, too.
It's hard to believe. I just can't imagine Felix gone. I want to talk to you, Dr. Meade.
What do you want?
Dr. Meade, there's something you must do for me. Something very important.
What is that?
I want you to put Felix's penis on me.
She could never shoot direct sound, lip sync like we're shooting now. So what she would do, she would always shoot the back of the head and then later on dub in the dialogue on that. So if you and I are talking, she would have the back of my head and later on record it, and then I would be looking at you, you'd be on camera, and vice versa.
Well, I do know him, but I'd hardly say I was one of his friends. I only saw him once.
Tell me about it.
All right. I'll tell you what happened. You see, I'm a dancer with the Andrea Ballet. I came to New York from a little town in Arkansas and sublet this apartment from a Mr. Dan Jaffe for a few months.
In the ones that weren't shutting sound, would you shoot the people talking and then try and sink it into their lips
Sink it in. Yes, if you knew what they were saying, it wasn't that difficult.
In some films I've seen that you kind of shoot from behind and then add the dialogue.
Well, I used overhead shots, tricks.
Now, I think my personal favourite of your films is Let Me Die a Woman, because it's just the strangest film I've ever seen in my entire life.
The strangest film I ever did, too, in my entire life.
When I wake up in the morning, I am always a little surprised. This is my life, and I am happy. I used to wear baggy shirts that were concealing,
Now I wear things that flatter me, that go with my coloring. I love clothes. I am lonely, yet I feel wonderful because I'm a woman now. Last year, I was a man.
How did the project begin?
Truly, this is how it began. Zelda Suplee, who had the first nudist camp that I shot in, called me one day just to say hello, and I asked her what she was doing. I was looking for something different to do, because when you don't have a great deal of money, you know, when your budget is low, you try to get some kind of gimmick. And I asked Zelda what she was doing, and she told me she was working with transsexuals. And that gave me the idea. And she gave me the name of this Dr. Leo Waldman, who was working with them. And I contacted him, and we made a deal so that all the people you see are actually transsexuals. There are no actors in that film. They're all real people.
Now, this is Steve, a male transsexual who has not had the operation and is working as an automobile mechanic in order to accumulate sufficient money for the sex change operation. This is a female who wishes to become a male and is dressed as a male in order to maintain her job as the manager of a supermarket. We have here a 55-year-old diabetic who also has other illnesses and yet firmly believes that age makes no difference as far as the sex change is concerned.
So how did you develop the reality into a film? What kind of story did you give it?
A story about unhappy people who want to be other than what they are, and how they go about getting changes, and what happens to them afterwards, and things like that. You know, very exciting. But it wasn't an easy film to do, because I felt so sorry for these people, and then I felt that maybe I was exploiting them, and I was very happy when the film was finished.
And what did you feel when it was finished? Did you think you had exploited them?
No, because I paid them well, better than I paid any of the others, and they were all very happy to be in it.
Does he know about you?
Oh no, I'm afraid to tell him. He'll leave me. I can't take that chance.
You have the body of a woman. You feel like a woman, don't you?
I always felt like a woman, even when I had a penis.
Don't be a fool. Don't tell him. He'll never know the difference.
There's always the chance that someone will tell him and he'll leave you because you weren't honest with him.
It was probably the most extreme gimmick you've ever used.
I would say so.
Did you feel that you had to keep topping yourself like that?
Oh, no. It was just something different.
You ain't got no experience. Can't use you.
I think probably your most famous films have got to be the Chesty Morgan ones.
Yes, I would say so.
So how did that whole episode come about? Where did you first meet Chesty?
I knew somebody that knew her manager. And he told me about Chesty Morgan. And again, I'm looking for gimmick. And so I called her. And I met with her. And we signed a deal. We made a deal. I met her a few times, of course. We made a deal. I wrote the story. And then I shot. And of all the people I ever worked with, she was the most difficult. She really was difficult. But be that as it may.
Do you know that the female breast, known to be the source of life since Eve, can be deadly weapons?
Is killed by some gangsters, and that's her revenge. She finds them, and they make love to her, you know, and she manages to smother them to death. What a way to go, huh?
This is the plot you thought up once again.
Of course.
I think Freudians might read some interesting things into that.
Such as what, sir?
I don't know, I'm not a Freudian, but I suppose if we find one and ask them...
No, it's just a good idea, I think. Different, let's put it that way.
Yeah, now, how successful was the film?
Successful. I sold it to AIP in its entirety.
Now, Doris, Chesty Morgan is, of course, famous for her remarkable physique more than anything else.
I would say so.
Is that all natural, or is she...
No, I believe it's natural. I truly believe that.
So what actually were her measurements when you were working?
Oh, God, I don't know, like 4 million. I don't know, but they were unreal.
So successful was their partnership that Doris and Chesty swung back into action with another film, Double Agent 73.
She's a spy in the film, and she has a camera implanted in her breast, so that every time she's on looking for someone, looking for film, you know, whatever, she has to take a picture of it, so she has to expose her breast. And click.
So what was this? This was a way of you getting sex into the picture?
Well, that's not really sex. It's just a gimmick. It's exploitation. That's not sex. Not in my estimation. Who has seen a bosom like hers? She was incredible. And that's what made it successful, I guess.
When you look at your movies, how would you like them to be seen? How do you want people to look at your career?
Depends upon them. I don't really care how they... I know that what I did to the best of my ability. I was fair with everybody, and that's all that counts. As to how they see it, I don't know. And I don't really, as I said, I don't really care.
Do you plan to retire from making films?
No, I'm not old enough.
So when will you retire?
When I die. And even then, as I said, I may make films in hell.
Bad girls go to hell.
Is even further off the beaten track than usual. This is Mexico City, home of Corona beer, chicken enchiladas, guacamole, 20 million people and masked wrestling movies. Against all odds and with only a few words of Spanish, such as Donde está el lavabo, I've travelled here to bring you the truly incredible story of one of Mexico's greatest heroes. The man in the silver mask they called El Santo.
How can I thank you? You saved us from death.
In my opinion, you're an amazing man. I only do what I can to wipe out injustice and crime.
Very few things become folklore in Mexico, but El Santo is one of those things.
He conquered not only the world of movies, but he conquered the world of professional wrestling. This is an actual, true-to-life hero.
Jonathan, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really call this Mexico City, I call this Santo City.
El Santo was the undisputed champion of Mexican superheroes. For over 40 years, he totally dominated the wrestling scene, initially as a live performer and then subsequently as a film star. So great was his popularity with the Mexican people that when he died in 1984, hundreds of thousands crowded the street as his funeral procession made its way to its final destination here in a suburb of the city. He starred in over 150 films, which serve as a permanent reminder of both his personality and his wrestling skills.
In this corner, it's Caveman Wellington and Roz Mendoza. In this corner, the Black Shadow and the man in the silver mask is...
El Santo to his adoring Mexican fans, but Samson was the name he went under in America after an enterprising distributor acquired the rights to 27 wrestling classics, which he then badly dubbed into English and sold to American television in the mid-1960s. Among them, the hugely popular Samson versus the Vampire Women, which still excites die-hard fans like Johnny Legend even today.
The movies started penetrating the United States in the late 60s. They were basically staples of late-night TV. They would come on sometimes around 11 o'clock midnight, and they would run all night. First saw Mexican wrestling horror films around 3 in the morning on a Friday night. Couldn't believe my eyes. I hadn't really known it existed. If I'd ever heard about it, maybe I thought I dreamt it or made it up. The next morning, I wasn't sure I'd really even seen it. And over the years, I just started watching for them and digging up whatever information I could. And I was just mesmerized, basically like anybody else when they first encounter these things. You know, just astounding.
Here they affirm that according to the apocalypse, we're living at a time when things are perfect for the resurrection of monsters here on Earth. Since men are bent on wreaking destruction upon the world today, they'll heed their selfish desires and use the tremendous power that nature has given us. Yes, nuclear energy. But there's something worse than what I mentioned just now. I spoke to you about that strange and extraordinary lad who saved Rebecca's life. The documents say that he also would have a descendant, an outstanding young man of enormous strength, destined to hide his identity under a silver-colored mask. That extraordinary young man is obviously you.
It's a curiosity, fact being the way Mexican people are. I shouldn't say just Mexican people, a lot of the Latin people are this way. They're very superstitious. They like to grab a character and make it into an exploitation of a hero. And they really believe in it and get their soul behind it. And I believe this is why it is. It's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon of people looking for an identity of good, not of evil. And that's what El Santo represented, and a lot of your characters in Under the Mask are that way.
Today, the legend of El Santo lives on not only through his movies, but also his son, who faithfully reproduces all the fighting skills and excitement of his father. And like the original El Santo, his true identity remains a secret.
I wanted to be called El Hijo del Santo so that the name and reputation of my father would be kept alive. El Santo is a legend in our world of wrestling. But now, as time passes, many people are forgetting that I'm his son, and they simply call me El Santo. And that's truly rewarding, to be seen as he was. Of course, for many of the younger children in Mexico, they watch the old films on television, and they think that it's me who's in them. Often when I arrive at a wrestling arena, a young lad will say, "I saw you on television last night fighting those mummies." And that makes me feel really good. Now, myself and my father are seen as one.
Macbeth or something like that, at the end of the play, the actors all come out and bow. Over here, they don't come out and bow. This is very serious. It's not just on the silver screen. This is like a flesh and blood reality, whether it's comic books, films, or in the ring. They really follow it through all the way. It's like to the death, you might say.
The Incredibly Strange Film Show will continue on TDC TV. Turn to The Incredibly Strange Film Show on TDC TV.
Perhaps what I should make clear is that a masked wrestler never takes off his mask. His entire life outside of his home is spent with his mask on. So whether he's going shopping with his wife or attending a dinner party, he does so with his mask firmly in place. Supposedly, a wrestler's identity is never known. And I think you have to admire someone who follows things through to the very end. This is the Mausoleos del Ángel, where El Santo is laid to rest. And as you can see, even in death, he wears his mask.
I think he had his mask more on than off. To prove it, his ears were like clipped back to his head. So as he's wearing the mask so much that his, you could see that it took its toll. His ears were back and certain features of his face were very tender. And I remember what I remember of the man. I remember his face very little. I remember the mask a lot, though.
Why was it important then to keep wearing the mask? What was he trying to achieve?
Well, it was the identity of it all. It's the secret. I'm finding out who it is.
All the evil they can muster is against you in this thing. And so you might be killed attempting to save my daughter.
Nevertheless, I have to continue. I have to go on the way my ancestors did, to eliminate evil of all kinds. And human vampires are monsters that can never expose themselves to direct daylight. Surely they use a hideout of some kind as a refuge. And there possibly we could surprise and destroy them.
Of course, the idea of a Mexican Cape Crusader has a very current parallel with Batman in the United States. And the comparisons don't just end with the mask and the cape. While El Santo preferred a rather more modest two-seater sports car to a Batmobile, he also had an underground cave filled with scientific equipment and a unique arrangement with the local police commissioner. Like Batman, El Santo was always ready to take on the baddies whenever the call came.
This is Professor Roloff. Come in. Can you hear? It's very important, Samson. Emergency. Please answer.
I'm listening, Professor Roloff. This is Samson answering. Come in, Professor. Over.
Listen, Samson. The crypt where you'll find the vampires hiding is located in the forest of White Pine. So please hurry. I think we may save Diana. In a second, we'll be on our way there. And I wish you good luck.
This is typical of many of El Santo's cinematic adventures in the early 1960s. In his nifty two-seater British sports car, El Santo cuts a dashing figure in his constant battle against evil. Here he pits himself against a bunch of sturdy but seriously disfigured vampire women who drink fresh human blood in an attempt to restore their looks. The lead vampire was played by one of Mexico's biggest stars, Lorena Velasquez. What was he like to work with?
Well, he represented the justice. Here it is. He was the Mexican Schwarzenegger. And he was a very nice man, very kind man, very a good actor. Well, the truth, not very good, but he represented the justice, and this is very, very important for the people because everybody in this world, we want to have justice. So if you can find somebody who represent that, it's beautiful, no?
Did you ever see him without his mask?
Yes, just once. When we were making a film, then he said, Lorena, don't you want to meet me? And I said, well, okay. And he takes the mascara and he said, what do you think? And I said, put it on. No, I said, well, he looks well.
In our country, we don't have the cowboy, we don't have the superhero. we have wrestlers as the main heroes. In that sense, they are admired more than their usual field of activity. They become legends.
God bless Samson.
Who is he, Papa?
That's his secret. I don't think you'll ever know. But I'll say this, my dear. In this age where there are certain evil men who propose to destroy us, Samson is an example to men of goodwill who serve justice.
El Santo was only one of several leading wrestlers tried out in the early days of these films, but he soon became the most popular. His adoring fans would cheer excitedly in the packed cinemas as he triumphed over every conceivable form of evil. As the series progressed, his foes had to be constantly updated, and the imagination of his producers knew no bounds. Martians, mummies, zombies, apes, spies, and even such mythical nasties as Dracula and Frankenstein were pitted against the man in the silver mask and cape. In this example, El Santo confronts not just the Mexican Christopher Lee, but also a casually attired werewolf.
The second part of the 50s and the first part of the 60s are the years where wrestling movies were done. And they were done by the hundreds. Just El Santo did about 50 movies himself. So you can imagine with the popularity of all the other wrestlers like Blue Demon and the Mad Doctor and all this, there were hundreds of movies.
La furia de los karatecas.
Me voy a vengar de él para siempre.
Apóstol del bien. Sus hechizos no tienen límite. Las más extrañas aventuras del santo jamás filmadas. Se crean monstruos terribles. Santo, el enmascarado de plata.
I would say in a lot of cases, similar to low-budget American film production, it's like you got a wrestling arena, you've got a couple cars, you've got about 5 or 6 monsters, and you got some kids that can sing their hearts out. Let's put it all together, and whatever shows up on the day of shooting goes into the film. If it doesn't show up, then it makes it into the next film.
Santo interfirió con mis planes y debe ser castigado. Y el castigo será la muerte.
¡Qué gusto!
Santo contra el asesino de la televisión. Una peligrosa aventura del santo en la que tiene que luchar por salvar su vida contra el enemigo más diabólico, el asesino de la televisión.
By the early 1960s, the El Santo films were guaranteed box office, and bit by bit their budgets were increased. The formula, however, was never tampered with. Apart from the essential triumph of good over evil, there were always some lengthy wrestling scenes and at least one musical interlude. And these are some of my favourites.
Poco a poquito te fui queriendo, poco a poquito te me has metido en el corazón. Con todo lo que estudiaste, que no dejaste sufrir, que tu mamá platicaba, que cuando las materias lleva mensaje pesado. Una canción de amor sobre un bello atardecer, caminando por la playa estoy, recordando nuestro ayer.
I don't think there were many filmmakers in the U.S. adding musical numbers to horror films. They just started doing it here. It was just a natural thing. They were already doing hodgepodges here where you just throw in a little bit of everything. So if somebody went to the movies, let's say on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon here, they wouldn't have to pick what kind of movie they would go see because they could just go see any movie and would have everything in it.
Hoy me estás ahorcando. Hoy qué quebradora tan fuerte. Hoy sí me doy.
Blue.
Hola, Julito, ¿qué tal te fue de viaje?
Hola, campeón.
Way back in the 50s and 60s, the golden age of masked wrestling, the Blue Demon was almost as popular as El Santo. They appeared together in a number of films and were also close friends off-screen. Now in his late 60s, he runs this wrestling training school, but you can't keep a legend down. And much to the delight of his many fans, he still occasionally appears in the ring. Today, the Blue Demon's attendance is mainly to help out his son, who also went into the family business. Although Blue Demon was teamed up with El Santo in many films, the professional rivalry that existed between them is as strong as ever.
I had the opportunity to meet El Santo in several individual contests when we were matched against each other. This was a chance to demonstrate my superiority. Now, I don't want to seem to be boasting, but the facts speak for themselves. And I beat him on 2 consecutive occasions.
One day I discovered that my father was jealous that El Santo had a son who was carrying on his name in the ring. So I said, well, why don't we see if I can become Blue Demon Jr.? And that's really how it all started. My friends also encouraged me, but it was mainly the continuing rivalry that's always existed between El Santo and the Blue Demon.
La motivación de mi padre, y más que nada el celo profesional que existió entre El Santo, en paz descanse, y mi padre Blue Demon.
But whatever rivalries may have existed in real life, in the movies they were always allies, an unstoppable team opposed to wrongdoers everywhere.
Llamando a Santo.
Aquí Santo. Santo, ¿me escuchas bien? Santo, ¿me escuchas bien? Sí. No los he perdido de vista. Estoy en la carretera.
If you went to see, let's say in England or America, you went to see James Bond or Indiana Jones, and you come out of the theater and you go home and there's Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. Whereas in Mexico, you go to see the movies and it's Santo, Mil Máscaras, Blue Demon. And when you leave the theater, when they leave the movie, they remain Blue Demon and Santo and Mil Máscaras all through life, everywhere they go. They're not kidding around.
The Incredibly Strange Film Show will continue on TDC TV. We now return to The Incredibly Strange Film Show on TDC TV.
Some of Mexico's best-known tourist spots provide the settings for El Santo movies, and the mummies of Guanajuato is a fine example. The town of Guanajuato boasts a network of underground caverns containing hundreds of mummified corpses. In the film, the dead return to life and terrorize the local population, who quite naturally called in the help of a couple of masked Mexican wrestlers, the Blue Demon and El Mil Mascaras, the man of 1,000 masks.
A ellas.
But even their combined might isn't enough, so it's up to our hero, El Santo, to save the day.
¡Esperen! ¡No disparen! ¡Pueden matar a un inocente! ¡No disparen!
For whatever reason, be it the monsters, the location, or the casting of the three biggest wrestlers in Mexico, The Mummies of Guanajuato is still considered the most popular film of its type ever made. And it's the ending that everyone remembers.
So scene after scene goes by, and the Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras can't finish the mummies off. So just before the very end of the film, El Santo arrives, and he realizes that mummies have to be burnt. So that's what he does, and he's the hero of the film. And that's how people remember him. He was the only one who could deal with the mummies of Guanajuato.
El único que pudo con las momias de Guanajuato.
Ve por las pistolas que están en el asiento de mi carro. Sí, voy. Toma, Blue. Aquí está Santo. Retrocedan.
Even today, 20 years after the film was made, the Blue Demon resents the fact that it was El Santo who saved the day.
Pues en realidad, el que...
Well, the reality of the film is that myself and Mil Mascaras did all the work in fighting the mummies of Guanajuato.
Muy buena. Por cierto, las momias de Guanajuato existen.
We were there from the start, and what we did was good. So, what I don't like about the film is that El Santo had a very small part. Yet, he was the hero.
Pero fue el vencedor. Y a mí no me pareció, porque efectivamente el de la labor era el Mil Mascaras.
It just doesn't seem right to me. He just turned up at the last minute, and then he pocketed all the glory that we'd earned.
A embolsarse un capítulo que nosotros habíamos fraguado.
Of course, wrestling movies weren't just the domain of El Santo. It was one of his regular directors, Renny Cardona, who launched the hugely popular wrestling women's series in the early 1960s with the film Las Luchadoras contra...
El Médico Asesino.
Thank you. Contra el Médico Asesino. Lorena Velasquez and Elizabeth Campbell played the wrestlers, pitted against a loony brain surgeon intent on creating a new type of creature by mixing the essential organs of humans and animals.
The Mad Doctor, come on!
The laboratory is going to blow up very soon. There's nothing we can do for this man.
I guess this is the end of the Mad Doctor then.
You know, it's a shame we couldn't find out his real identity. But he's paid for all his crimes now.
Can you remember the titles of Las Luchadoras series that you made?
Well, no, because I'm an old woman. Well, but anyway, I'm going to make an effort. And it was the titles Las Luchadoras contra la Momia, Las luchadoras contra el médico asesino, and what else? Well, I don't remember.
Did you do the wrestling yourself, or did you have a double?
No, I have a double, and my double was a fatty woman, so I hate her. But anyway, I was just there in the close-ups.
The wrestling women basically would get caught up with some sort of evil nemesis, you know, like some kind of costumed evil Fu Manchu type of character, like the one in Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy, who would eventually take them to the pyramids, where they would finally have a very extreme confrontation with the Aztec Mummy.
Look, he's afraid of fire.
He's a vampire now.
He's a mummy again.
Mama, 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 la momia. Mama, 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 la momia. Azteca, si, es el amigo de muerto. Amigo de muerto, psychedelica, psychedelica, psychedelica. Everybody. Mom la mumia, mom la mumia, mom la mumia. Ah, oh!
The wrestling audience isn't limited to the poorer sections of the Mexican people. It draws enthusiasts from all quarters, women as well as men, and the passions generated at the ringside can be extremely fierce. In fact, Mexican television will no longer show it because it considers the spectacle to be too rowdy and wild. It's also a fix, something which, not surprisingly, no one connected with the sport will actually admit. But the winner has been decided in a private arrangement long before the start. To the audience, who wins or who loses doesn't really seem to matter. Wrestling here is less a competitive sport, more a performing art. And the really good wrestlers are the best actors. You could be described as a connoisseur of world wrestling. What is it about live wrestling events in Mexico that makes them seem so much more exciting than elsewhere?
It's a style of wrestling you find over here that is just different than anywhere else in the world. Over here, they've been doing this extreme kind of athletic, very wiry, lots of flying activity in the ring. People here have just gotten used to so much action, so much commotion in the ring. They're just used to such a faster pace of wrestling, and that's why I like wrestling over here, because it's different than anywhere else in the world.
Judging from the crowds here tonight, masked wrestling as a live event has lost none of its popularity. And although the films aren't being made anymore, wrestling fans can satisfy their needs with all sorts of spin-off merchandising. If you look here, you can see you can buy masks like the ones they wear, and these are incredibly well made. I'm certainly going to take some of these home for my mum. You can get plastic figures of the wrestlers. There's El Santo. El Santo? Yeah. The Blue Demon. You can get all the characters who wrestle here very cheaply. You can buy wrestling magazines, posters, and even comic books. And once again, it was El Santo who proved to be the most popular character. At its peak, his comic book was selling over 1 million copies a month. Today, El Hijo del Santo is the biggest attraction on the wrestling circuit. And of course, the myth of the mask remains central to the enjoyment of the live match.
Y el público a ti te ve.
You see, the public have an image of me as a kind of Superman, a legend, an idol, something that's not human. In fact, sometimes people really see me as a kind of god.
con lo religioso, pero pues nada más ahí, ¿no?
Frequently, El Hijo del Santo faces an opponent who is determined to rip his mask off and reveal his identity.
If the masked man loses, then his mask is taken off, his identity is revealed, and it's pretty much like being raped. It's pretty much like being exposed. It's something that gets your honor really low. That's pretty bad.
Like his father before him, El Hijo del Santo has fought many tense matches which have almost ended in disaster.
Well, there are occasional big money contests where I'm putting my mask at stake against a really tough opponent. And whenever I've had one of these fights, I've had to think very hard about the outcome. And I know that if I lost and I was unmasked, I'd have to retire. The mystery would have gone.
Yo creo que me retiraría de la lucha.
In the case of many of El Santo's cinematic opponents, it might have been better if the mask had stayed on.
People in Mexico get something that is more of a way of life, because over here the comic books, the movies, the wrestling all intermingle, and they just go back and forth. You can go see the movies, and then you can come home and go out to the wrestling matches and actually see the same characters. They don't go away.
There are many theories as to why these films are no longer made. Some cite declining audiences, others blame it on corruption in the film industry. But before they died out completely, El Hijo del Santo had a shot at the movies himself in one of the last of the wrestling films.
Una película llena de ternura con la alegría inigualable de los cómicos norteños.
Needless to say, the formula hadn't changed. Masks, action, and of course, a very odd song.
El Hijo del Santo en Frontera Sin Ley.
I actually am down here scouting locations for Emmanuel Meets the Aztec Mummy, which I'm planning to shoot here later this year in 3D, all over the world, but particularly here, the place where Santo, Blue Demon, Mil Mascaras, the wrestling women have all done their best work here, and I plan to bring the Aztec Mummy back after 20 years and put him back to work here in the streets where he was born and where he belongs.
Days of Mexican wrestling films are over, despite the aspirations of such enthusiasts as Johnny Legend. But don't throw away your mask just yet, because it seems that Mexican television are just about to start filming a new series starring El Hijo del Santo, with the formula much the same as that which launched his father to stardom. The legend of El Santo lives on.
We made a lot of films. Las luchadoras contra la momia, for example, no? Here, the Aztecs Well, they have a meetings. So,
Lorena?
hello.
After more than 20 years, I would like...
Oh, at least I recognize you. My friend. So I'm so happy to see
The reunion of the century, your leading man.
But he's bald. And he hurts a bad.
The star of wrestling women meeting her greatest leading man, the original Aztec mummy.
Now on for movie maker extraordinaire Edward Jr. gets the Jonathan Ross treatment.
Hello. In 1941, thousands of young American Marines invaded the beaches of the Pacific Islands to do battle with the occupying Japanese forces. One of those young Marines is the subject of tonight's film. His name was Edward Jr., writer, director, actor and raconteur. Apparently, one of Edward Jr.'s favourite stories is to tell of how he was dressed for that invasion. He claims that underneath his army uniform, he was wearing a pink bra and knickers.
This is the most fantastic story I've ever heard.
And every word of it's true, too.
That's the fantastic part of it.
Edward Jr. died in 1978, a few days after being evicted from his Hollywood home. Fortune hadn't smiled on him for some time. He was drinking heavily and virtually broke, and he hadn't made a movie in nearly 20 years. His death went largely unnoticed. Yet today, his films aroused tremendous interest and enthusiasm. He was someone who can truly be called a cult director, thanks largely to such unforgettable movies as this one, his low-budget science fiction extravaganza, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I mean, first of all, you look at an Ed Wood film, and you know that you're watching an Ed Wood film. You couldn't confuse it with the work of any other filmmaker. It's like a Fellini film or a Bergman film or a movie by Frank Capra. He has a very distinctive, absolutely unusual style.
I mean, you can't compare something like a Plan 9 from Outer Space to any other filmmaker. At least no filmmaker that I know of. He was completely unique. He was a stylist and definitely a total individual.
Take any fire, any earthquake, any major disaster, then wonder. Flying saucers, Captain, are still a rumor, officially. Looks like we beat them off again, sir. What do they want? Where are they from? Where are they going?
Initially, the Ed Wood revival was due to him being voted the worst director of all time. But whether you love them or hate them, you can't deny his films are certainly strange and unique, as was the life of Ed Wood Jr. And this is Ed Wood Jr. himself, as is best remembered from his very first film.
My mind's in a muddle, like in a thick fog. I can't make sense to myself sometimes.
Ed's first film was released in 1953 and is best known as Glen or Glenda. But it was actually released under several different titles. Glen or Glenda, Which Is It? He or She? I Changed My Sex, I Led Two Lives, and even The Transvestite, which should give you a pretty good idea as to the subject matter.
Why is the modern world shocked by this headline? Why? Once, not so very long ago, the people of the world were saying,
Airplanes. Why?
nature makes mistakes. It's proven every day. This person is a transvestite, a man who is more comfortable wearing girls' clothes. The term transvestite is the name given by medical science to those persons who wear the clothing of the opposite sex.
I thought I could stop wearing these things. I tried, honestly, I tried. I haven't had a stitch of them on for nearly 2 weeks until tonight. Then I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to put them on or go out of my mind.
Give this man satin undies, a dress, a sweater, and a skirt, or even the lounging outfit he has on, and he's the happiest individual in the world.
It cost just $29,000 and was financed by George Weiss, a producer of sexploitation pictures. Ed was the writer, director, and star. But far from being just another crass exploitation film, it's actually an intensely personal statement.
Glenn is engaged to be married to Barbara, a lovely, intelligent girl. The problem? Glenda, Glenn's other self. The girl that he himself is, his other individual personality.
Actually, in Glenn or Glenda, I wasn't allowed on the set. I didn't know the whole story of him dressing in women's clothes. I didn't find that out till later. Because Edward wanted to marry me, and so he didn't let me know, that he was dressing in drag.
Then there was the time Barbara was wearing the sweater Glenn had always wanted to feel on his own body. It was becoming an obsession to him. He must have...
What's the matter, Glenn, darling?
I guess I was daydreaming.
Something seems to be troubling you. Why don't you tell me?
He'd want to borrow my Angora sweater, and I asked why, because it wasn't the usual thing for a man to be asking a woman. He said that it made him feel more comfortable, that it made his creative juices flow. So I went along with it.
Glenn has decided to tell Barbara of his dual personality. Tell her of the nighties and negligees, the sweaters and skirts, the robes and dresses, the stockings and the high-heeled shoes. Then, when it is all over and that much of the story he knows is told, Barbara is not sure of her own thoughts.
Sometimes you take a person, what they are inside, and the good that they do for others and everything, and not just, sometimes they can't help what they feel. I questioned it, but I went along with it.
But in real life, Ed was not so honest with his fiancée. After the collapse of his relationship with Dolores Fuller, he courted and married Norma McCarthy.
Now, of course, before he was married to you, he'd made Glenn or Glenda. Had you seen that movie before you met him?
No, I hadn't. Isn't that funny? Well, I guess I just didn't go see movies like that, or not that it was anything wrong with it, but if I went to see a movie in those days, it was some big movie, that had a lot of advertising.
Had he spoken to you about making Glenn or Glenda at all?
No. I didn't know that he, was a transfer site. I didn't know that until about 6, 7 weeks or so after we were married.
Are you forgetting about my other self?
You'll have to tell her, of course.
Yeah. I have to tell her. But when? Before? Or after?
I didn't understand. So I moved. I understand those things now, but I had 2 boys, and I just didn't, I'm from a strict family, and I can't understand this. And as I told you earlier, all my friends said, of all people for it to happen to Dixie, it had to be you, you don't understand those things. But I understand that.
Glenn or Glenda also features a bizarre appearance by the aging Hollywood horror star Bela Lugosi, whom Ed had befriended.
Well, Wood was always a Bela Lugosi fan, and he, of course, watched his films in the 30s and the 40s and grew up on them. And so when he had the chance to work with Bela Lugosi, he jumped at it. And actually, Wood was the only one who really used Lugosi in his last years.
The story.
As well as Bela, another regular feature of Ed's films was his extensive use of stock footage.
Wood always relied on stock footage. Apparently, he could get it somewhat inexpensively. And, I mean, when you look at Glen or Glenda, suddenly Bela Lugosi's yelling, pull the string, and there are a bunch of buffalo stampeding down his face.
Mistakes made. A story must be told.
Ed loved horror pictures. That was his favorite type of film. And the fact that they were so close to each other, they just loved one another as friends. And Bela wanted to help Eddie. And it was his last years of his life, and I think he wanted very much to help him.
It's sad to say, in the whole entire world, as great an actor as Bela Lugosi was, there was no one else utilizing Lugosi. I mean, where were all these people when Lugosi needed them? I don't know, but Ed Wood was there, and Ed Wood was the only one.
Wood's next film was The Bride of the Monster, and of all his work, it's probably the closest to a mainstream commercial picture. He started it in 1953, but it wasn't finished until 1955 because, as usual, Ed had great problems in raising the cash. Ed finally raised the money from an Arizona farmer who took a small part in the film in return. Bela Lugosi was teamed up with another of Wood's favourites, a 400-pound Swedish wrestler called Tor Johnson. Bride of the Monster was to be Bela Lugosi's last ever speaking role. He plays Dr. Eric Vernoff, a crazed scientist who wants to create a race of atom-charged supermen after being spurned by his colleagues.
I will perfect my own race of people. A race of atomic supermen which will conquer the world.
The film also marks the debut of one of Wood's regular characters, Kelton the Cop, played by Paul Marco.
I wonder what that fool Kelton is doing now.
Paul Marco named Kelton the Cop after this West Hollywood street, where he still lives today.
Kelton is always very energetic. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can I help you, sir? And all full of energy and wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, you know. And can't do enough for you.
Come in. Here's the late additions, Captain. Look, why can't I work on this case?
Back to your desk.
Yes, sir.
Kelton.
Yes, sir.
I told the boy to bring the papers in himself.
Yes, sir. But if you ask me...
I didn't.
I'm always going into the office, and I said, can I go out on the paper, sir? Can I? And he says, no, go back outside. And I said, yes, sir. And I always get sad, and I said, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, sir.
And Kelton.
Yes, sir.
Where's Lieutenant Craig?
In his office, I think.
Send him in.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. That's about Kelton's whole dialogue is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, in several scenes. And I finally do go out and look for Lugosi, the Mad Doctor.
Now, Professor Stravowski, you will get a much closer view of the product of my genius.
By now, Lugosi's career was in decline, and he had become heavily addicted to hard drugs.
In his later years, I understand he was taking formaldehyde. And the night that when Ed wasn't going to let me drive him home until Bela said, I got to have Paul drive him home. And that's the night which I watched and witnessed him take an injection. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. It just brought tears to my eyes. And his eyes were just as shiny like stars when he came out and says, now I feel better. Let's go. And I just felt like crying. And we went, and that's night, which was a long, cold night. And that's the night that he had to fight the octopus and get into that little water pool. And he did great because I think he felt a lot better since he had the shot.
I don't think Bela ever recovered from the drugs he was taking. He was pretty debilitated. But Eddie tried to help him along as best he could. I mean, he looked after him because Bela got awfully sick, and he couldn't even go on during the day, during the making of the movie sometimes. But he tried his best, and Eddie tried, and what more could they do?
Oh. I have no home. Hunted. Despised. Living like an animal. The jungle is my home.
Lugosi was always very fond of the speech that he makes about home, I have no home. For 20 years, I've lived in this jungle hell. And he was so fond of that particular speech that he would be walking with Ed Wood on Hollywood Boulevard and then all of a sudden go into it and start reciting it.
I was classed as a madman, a charlatan, outlawed in the world of science which previously honored me as a genius. Now, here in this forsaken jungle hell, I have proven that I am all right.
Wood's next vehicle for Bela Lugosi was to be a horror film. He'd scraped together just enough cash to start filming The Vampire's Tomb at Lugosi's house when Lugosi suddenly passed away.
What plan will you follow now?
Plan 9. It's been absolutely impossible to work through these Earth creatures. Their soul is too controlled.
Plan 9. Ah, yes. Plan 9 deals with the resurrection of the dead.
Even Ed couldn't resurrect Lugosi, but he could certainly work around him.
Most filmmakers would decide that such a tremendous blow as your star dropping dead on the set would halt the project. You couldn't do it anymore. But he decided he wanted to finish up his masterpiece. So he rewrote the script and made a movie called Grave Robbers from Outer Space that became Plan 9 from Outer Space. The problem is his star is only in 2 minutes of film.
Ed's inspired method of killing off Lugosi in the film was an out-of-shot car crash.
The old man left that home, never to return again.
He came upon the ingenious idea of hiring his wife's chiropractor named Dr. Tom Mason, who's a good foot taller than Bela Lugosi, looks nothing like him. And he got this chiropractor to walk around in a Dracula cape, and he's got the cloak strewn across his face, so you really can't see what he looks like at all.
Bela's death wasn't Ed's only problem. As usual, he had run out of cash, but help was close at hand.
Downstairs, there was this landlord, and who was a Baptist, and his name was Reynolds. And he and Eddie became friendly, and all of a sudden, Eddie had the Baptist Church of Beverly Hills behind him.
I do know that Ed Wood, along with his entourage of friends, when they discovered that Reynolds was a religious fellow, that they began to play along those lines and show a great interest in religion and the church. And they began to come around to the worship services on the Sunday morning.
A deal was struck. Reynolds became the executive producer.
But he is gone now.
He also took a small part as a gravedigger. He's the one on the right. Ed had found his money, but on one strange condition.
One thing that Reynolds demanded was that Eddie be baptized. And in fact, he wanted me to go up there too. So anyway, and Tor Johnson. So Eddie says, okay, what the hell, I'll go along with it.
But it wasn't that simple, particularly when it came to baptizing the massive Tor.
He weighed about 400 pounds, the baptistry in the church couldn't accommodate his hulk. So the minister was a very enterprising man, so he talked one of the ladies in the church who had a swimming pool to allow Tor to be baptized in her swimming pool, along with several others of Ed Wood's devotees. And it was quite a sight seeing all these people being baptized in that swimming pool, and their hair was stringing and their face was wet and the mascara was running, and it was quite a sight.
What they do to get money in Hollywood, I don't know. This was a nth degree, I think. But that's how they get their money.
People turning south from the freeway were startled when they saw 3 flying saucers high over Hollywood Boulevard.
The plot, such as it is, concerns a bunch of extraterrestrials who, concerned by Earth's burgeoning nuclear capabilities, decide to execute the famous Plan 9, resurrecting the human dead and having them march on the world's capitals. In actual fact, in the movie, this grand scheme comes to very little, because the only humans actually resurrected are the old man, played initially by Bela Lugosi, the police detective, played by Tor Johnson, and the silent woman, who was played by a rather famous television horror hostess of the time, Vampira.
You don't have any lines in the movie. Were you initially offered some?
I was initially offered some lines. I was initially offered some lines. But the fact is that the character, although I was billed as Vampira, the character wasn't Vampira as I had conceived her. Vampira as I had conceived her was giddy, outrageous, and this was a different kind of because she was in a trance, and I just thought it would be better if she were in a trance, and I asked to please do it mutely, and they said, well, okay.
What was the set like for Plan 9?
Well, I would say, as with everything that Ed did, ingenuity reigned. We had, for example, turf made from God knows what under paper grass, you know, that had swellings and hollows, and one had to be careful not to trip on them, right? And cardboard tombstones and dried off twigs that had been placed about thither and yon. It was the general impression of a graveyard, but it was done with what I call spit and gum wrappers.
Last night I saw a flying object that couldn't have possibly been from this planet. But I can't say a word. I'm muzzled by army brass. I can't even admit I saw the thing.
Gregory Walcott's friendship with the film's financier, Ed Reynolds, got him a plum part in the film, that of the plane's pilot.
Normally, when I do a scene, I like to go onto the set ahead of time to get a feel of it, feel the props and the space, and I said, Ed, where's the cockpit set? He said, well, they're building it. And I kept looking, waiting for the cockpit to be delivered to the sound stage, a little dinky sound stage. And finally, half hour before this cockpit scene was to be filmed, 2 carpenters brought on 2 pieces of masonite board and bent them into an arch and strung a shower curtain in the back and drug over a few pieces of the electronic sets from the spaceship, and that was the cockpit.
American Flight 812, this is Burbank Tower. If I were asleep, you'd never get on the ground. In your case, maybe I ought to leave you up there for good. Over.
You got me that time, Mac. This is American Flight 812 request.
Burbank Tower to American Flight 812.
My agent was furious when he discovered that I had done this planned grave robbers from outer space film. He was furious with me. He said, you've taken a giant step backwards in your career.
Stop him, Tanner. He's close enough. Turn off your electrode gun. No! Stop him, Tanner!
I can't get it. It's jammed.
Stop him, you fool!
Drop the gun to the floor, Tanner. The metal will break contact.
That was too close.
Now, this was supposed to be a horror film. And in those moments where people, or the audience was supposed to gasp in horror, the kids would laugh and giggle, you know. And I knew right away the film was in terrible trouble because it was just so bad. Just so bad.
Colonel Tom Edwards, in charge of saucer field activities, was to make the greatest decision of his career. He made that decision. Colonel Edwards gave the signal to fire.
One of the film's most noted features is, of course, the not-so-special effects.
There are a couple of scenes where it looks like there are actually two pie tins that are stapled together, and they went around with a string and just took these pie tins stapled together and tried to make a flying saucer out of it. And I talked to one of the guys who did the props. He said, no, we didn't have the budget for pie tins. We used paper plates. They took a paper plate, they doused it in kerosene, they took a little cigarette lighter and just somehow let it burn on fire, making it look like a burning flying saucer. And I think that's the magic of Wood's films.
One of the features that Ed Wood fans look forward to in his movies is the appearance of his repertory company, a bunch of like-minded stalwarts he'd gathered around himself. It's an odd collection of old stars like Bela Lugosi, minor television personalities like Vampiro and Criswell, oddballs like Swedish wrestler Tor Johnson, and even a few personalities that Wood discovered himself. This is the astrologer Criswell, who opens Plan 9 with a mystic monologue.
Greetings, my friends. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friends, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
He was colorful. I liked him. I liked Criswell. I liked the whole assortment of people that Ed Wood had gathered around him.
How do you think Ed did attract such a colourful group of people? He seemed to draw them from somewhere, didn't he?
Because he was an oddball. Birds of a feather flock together.
They were kind of Ed's menagerie, I called them. They consisted of ex-wives and astrologers and chiropractors and just kind of what would be considered fringe people.
This is the story of those in the twilight time. Once human, now monsters, in a world between the living and the dead. Monsters to be pitied, monsters to be despised.
Another of Ed's discoveries, Valda Hansen, was the star in his next film, Revenge of the Dead.
He said, I'm looking for a girl with eyes like you and someone who can mesmerize and be the white ghost. So he had me read for him, and he had me do a little skit of, the Banshee. And he said, that's sensational, Valda. You are a good actress.
Since Mrs. Wingate Yates Foster, through my benevolent society, wishes the arising of her dear departed husband Wingate, we tonight will bring him from that which was thought to be his final resting place.
I'm searching. It's so. In it, we are duping the people in these seances. And consequently, as time goes on, we draw the real dead. And so that is why it is the night of the ghouls. And it ends up, they come after us. I've had with friends, and I watch it on our VCRs, and they say, Valda, how do you make your fingers wiggle like that? They said, you should put that just as seen on a commercial, just those fingers. How do you make them wiggle? They look like they're doing the coochie coochie.
next film was The Bride and the Beast. He wasn't in the director's chair this time, but his screenplay was so distinctive that it's unmistakably an Ed Wood Jr. film. It tells the story of a beautiful young girl who marries an animal trainer, but discovers on their wedding night that she's much more attracted to the gorilla he keeps locked in the basement. Still with me? Okay, well, rather upset about this strange desire, she quite naturally visits a psychiatrist who discovers, after some lengthy scenes of jungle stock footage, that she was once a gorilla herself in a past life. This explains not only her unhealthy obsession, but also her deep-rooted love of Angora sweaters.
Go into a deeper sleep now. Deep, deep, deep.
Cool wind brushes my fur.
What kind of fur is the wind brushing?
There's the water. I don't want to go to the water. I'm so frightened of the water. I see my reflection. I'm a gorilla.
He loved my Angora sweater, my blue one. You know, he called it Mr. Angora. He had a fetish for Angora. And then he had an Angora dress, a pink one. He was gorgeous then with his green eyes, you know, and the wig. But he didn't try to hide it.
By the early 1960s, Ed's career as a low-budget auteur was really over. His dream of joining the cinematic greats was never to be realized. Unable to raise money for his own projects, he tried to earn his keep as a screenwriter. But sadly, for the rest of his life, he really earned his living as the author of trashy novels aimed mainly at the sex market. One of Ed's books was filmed in 1966 as Orgy of the Dead.
He wrote novels with usually transvestite themes like Killer and Drag, Death of a Transvestite, Diary of a Transvestite Hooker, or books with a carnival theme.
Who published the books?
Small porno houses. Corinth Books, Eros Publishing, Pad Library. These were not books you would find in the local library.
You said earlier that it was a very cutthroat business. Was it possible for Ed to make much money from the films?
Oh, Lord, no. Poor Eddie. He was not a good money manager, businessman. In fact, some of the business managers took him for a lot. He, to my knowledge, and I was with him for practically most of the movies, he ended up with nothing. Maybe the wage that he made during the movie for the director for the script, but we never really made anything out of it. There was always a smart money guy around that siphoned off most of it or manipulated it somehow, and that's why poor Eddie died so broke.
Ed, however, never lost faith in his films, particularly Plan 9, and a whole new generation was about to rediscover it.
Plan 9 played every station on local television. It started from CBS down to local TV, and 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. Ed, we're on! Turn Channel 9 on, Channel 13 on. Because he stayed up all night long writing scripts, and the minute Plan 9 was on, he called up everybody. And I was on the top of the list to watch Plan 9. He was very happy with Plan 9. He loved it. And he rented it all the time and had Plan 9 parties.
Eddie used his brains and imagination, and I don't think it was a silly picture at all. I don't think a lot of the kids do either, you know.
Oh, powerful light, and I swear in my Bible that the others will write a song.
Just recently, Plan 9 has been turned into a musical, ensuring that the legend of Ed Wood Jr. lives on.
Ed Wood has turned into a whole cottage industry. It's amazing how many different facets of Wood's life have been mined. I mean, first of all, back in 1981, there was an Ed Wood film marathon at UCLA. And here you can see there's a hairy leg and a high heel, a giant rubber octopus, a flying saucer, and a gravestone that's about to tip over because it's made out of cardboard.
Nothing's gonna keep me away from home tonight. Yeah, nothing's gonna keep me from my 8:30 flight.
There is the Paul Marco I Love Kelton the Cop fan club. As far as I know, there's only one member, and that's Paul Marco himself.
I started some merchandise. Kelton the Cop T-shirts. I Love Kelton the Cop bumper stickers. I Love Kelton the Cop medallions, and also keychains that says "Good Luck Forever" on the back, Paul Marco. Kelton the Cop balloons.
They're just general T-shirts for Plan 9 from Outer Space. I've seen this T-shirt even without Plan 9 from Outer Space on it. All you have to do is show a picture of Tor Johnson and Vampira, and people know what movie you're talking about.
Oh, baby, baby, I know what's stranger than fiction. I know I don't come off like a girl who has a sexual addiction.
Sexual addiction.
Some watch TV and others take drugs, but I like kisses and I love hugs and anything that causes physical friction.
I know that I was in front of the camera for about 15 minutes.
And that's all, your entire on-screen appearance was shot in?
15 silent minutes, which has given me an entire new career. Thank you, Mr. Wood. You listening?
I'm attracted to love just like a butcher likes to chop his meat. But to me, love is a death-defying feat.
What do you think he would make of the attention that's focused on his work now?
Oh, God. He'd be thrilled that he's got so much attention. I'm not arbitrarily sure he'd like the nature of it.
He would think it's come a little late, but I think he'd be very pleased that some sort of acclaim is being given to him.
He's probably looking down with a big smile. Maybe with his teeth in, maybe without it. But he's smiling, saying, gosh, I'm glad they like my movies because I like making them.
Whatever you may think about the films of Ed Wood Jr., he had one great talent that no one can deny. He could take his ideas and against almost impossible odds put them on screen. While many of the more acceptable and mainstream directors of the period are now all but forgotten, the films of Ed Wood Jr. are still being talked about and enjoyed all over the world. So he must have done something right.
I'm getting a plan.
This gives me a plan.
One will shoot, two soul. We had more plans than we had more, boy, you know me. I'm a plan-making man. I've been making a plan, caused no trouble ever since I began. Number one was kids flying out of the sky. You failed what you gave the Space Scout try, you know me. I'm a plan-making man. I've been making a plan, caused no trouble ever since I began. The White House was the target of plan number 2, but we got drunk and took over San Diego Zoo, you know me. A plan-making man. I've been making a plan, caused no trouble.
Hello. This might seem like a rather unusual place to start the programme, but I'm just taking a few precautions. This is the Dragon Fortune Moo Shan Tin Yam Altar Company Limited, and this gentleman is performing a few routine blessings to make sure I don't run into any unexpected or unwanted snags. You see, this week, I plan to delve fearlessly into the supernatural world of the Chinese ghost story, the new wave of Hong Kong horror films that are perhaps the craziest, weirdest, scariest and funniest films these bloodshot eyes of mine have ever seen. And join us in part 2 when we'll be meeting another master of modern horror. Stuart Gordon, the man responsible for this classic low-budget horror movie, Reanimator.
Here he's taught. Of course he's dead. The dosage was too large.
You killed him.
No, I did not. I gave him life.
Hong Kong is a city where superstitions, myths and fables are still a part of everyday life. In fact, the Chinese living here like to refer to themselves as human, while we, the Westerners, are called Guailos, which literally means devil man. But in the last 10 years, it's the cinema that's been obsessed with the spirit world. This is Blood Reincarnation from 1974, heavily influenced by the success of The Exorcist. It's considered to be the first of the modern Hong Kong horror films. And this is Mr. Vampire, undoubtedly one of the most successful. These hopping bloodsuckers proved to be so popular, Mr. Vampire has since enjoyed 3 sequels. And for weirdness, how about this, The Dead and the Deadly, in which star Sammo Hung is trying to get to the bottom of a murder mystery. Now, all of those films were made by different people, but there was one director I was especially keen to track down, a man called Tsui Hark. A couple of years ago, I saw a film called A Chinese Ghost Story. It was beautifully shot and featured a gorgeous flying ghost, some kung fu monks, and a vampire tree with a 400-foot tongue. Not the kind of movie you can see every day of the week, unless, of course, you're lucky enough to live here in Hong Kong. The film is full of stuff like this, a brilliant combination of ancient Chinese folklore and modern film techniques, the work of a man in love with film from an early age.
When we're like 12 years old or 13 years old, Sunday or Saturday, we kind of get together and said, call home and said, we're making a movie now, so we are very busy, we're making a movie now, we're not going home tonight, so, don't wait for us. So there are 3 or 4 of us, as children or, young people together and start planning for a script and now drawing storyboard and start shooting. Using different kind of camera. Sometimes we use a still camera to make storyboard, and that's the beginning of the the hobby of making film.
What were the films actually like? What kind of subjects did you cover?
Well, the first one was Magic Performance. The second one was let me think. The second one is sort of a sci-fi film. Is it?
After attending film school at Texas University, Tsui returned to Hong Kong and has become one of the most influential directors in the Hong Kong industry, always initiating new trends. Today, he's on set directing a tough new political thriller called A Better Tomorrow 3, working around the clock to get it finished.
A lot of people just cannot catch up with the guy. I mean, working 20 hours a day, non-stop.
But Tsui is not only a director and producer, he also finds time to act in movies and teamed up recently with John Chung for a science fiction fantasy epic called RoboForce.
People in the industry have very mixed views of him. They think he's a lovely, obnoxious kid, I think.
From the outset, Tsui's films have been markedly different in tone and style from other filmmakers. This is his second feature, We're Gonna Eat You. It's a kind of kung fu cannibal comedy, yet it was designed as a biting satire on the politics of mainland China.
Tsui at that time was I don't know how he described himself, but I mean, to the outsider, he looked like the typical degenerate, subversive Marxist with all kinds of dangerous lefty ideas, infiltrating the commercial film industry and trying to lead it down dangerous paths. I mean, a course that he consolidated in his third feature, Dangerous Encounters, also known as Don't Play with Fire.
Don't Play with Fire was Tsui's most overtly political film ever. Its allusions to the 1967 colonial riots outraged the authorities who banned it, and this, the final version, was substantially reshot and re-edited. But despite the controversy, it bombed at the box office. The first Tsui Hark film to really make an impact was Zoo Warriors of the Magic Mountain. After the lack of response to his early films, Tsui consciously set out to woo a mass audience by combining Hollywood-style special effects with a story that retained a distinctly Chinese flavour. Released in 1981, the film was to make a spectacular impact in Hong Kong, with audiences thrilled by Tsui's stylish effects.
That period of time, I was thinking about maybe we can learn special effect by using that project. That's why I went to Los Angeles and started looking for people who work in Star Trek, Star Wars, as well as that period of time called Tron. Disney turned out a film called Tron. Zhu, I think, really started special effects in Hong Kong. He's like the great-grandfather of special effects. He introduced the idea of bringing in the expertise. He said, okay, no problem. We go to Hollywood, we call up people, and we say, would you like to Hong Kong? Go to Hong Kong for 1 month. You're going to be working some, but it'll be fun because you get to work the people, you know the place. So we got a lot of very good people coming in from Los Angeles, and then they came and they stayed and they did their thing. He put all the students, art students, graphics guys, working with these guys, and when they left, the seed was sown.
Although he used Hollywood-style special effects, the film remains distinctly Chinese. Used here for comedic effect, the long eyebrows of this character are actually a traditional Chinese way of denoting wisdom.
Tsui Hark you could see as being the modern equivalent of one of those old Chinese storytellers. In Chinese traditional society, the storyteller would come to the village square and would sit there and tell these fantastic stories, which he learned by heart, probably from his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather, and keep an audience enthralled. Well, Tsui is really the modern equivalent of that. He's the guy who comes and displays his wares in the village square, in this case the movie screen, and he tells the old stories in a way that's designed to make them exciting, fresh and new for the new generation.
Tsui has a distinctive directing style, using fast cuts to give his films an exhilarating pace and impact.
He used to be a cartoon artist. I mean, he loves comic strips. That's why in most of his films, you have a very fast tempo. It's too fast sometimes. He would say 5 frames out here, 5 frames out there, and it's making a very, very fast movement, like a comic strip.
But as with previous films, Tsui found himself doing battle with the production company, in this case Golden Harvest, in the final stages of the editing.
Actually, almost every film I finish, I want to make it again. That's my terrible thinking. I told the Golden Harvest, I said, maybe you should give me a chance to finish the rest of the special effects shot, and maybe I can make the film better.
It was almost inevitable that Tsui, frustrated by having to compromise and justify his projects to his backers, would form his own company. And in 1984, with his wife, Nansun Shi, he formed Film Workshop. Now, initially, he intended the company to make only one more movie, but now, 5 years on, it's perhaps the most successful picture-making company here in Hong Kong, responsible for some of the biggest grossing films of all time. And this is one of their biggest hits, a Chinese ghost story. Although Tsui was only credited as the film's producer, there's that distinctive Tsui look to the whole film.
He's a producer who takes an extremely keen interest in everything that comes out bearing his name, or everything that comes from his company, Film Workshop. To the extent that many directors who've worked for Film Workshop have produced films that end up looking surprisingly like Tsui Hark films and not at all like the films that they themselves have made before. So it's very clear, I think. I mean, everybody, it's widely recognized in Hong Kong and probably elsewhere that Tsui tends to put an authorial mark, you could say, on pretty much everything that carries his name.
The film tells the simple story of a man who falls in love with a beautiful woman. Unfortunately for him, the woman happens to be a ghost.
有陣咩味啊？好似係人味。
哎呀，我件衫爛咗。
點解咁論盡啊？
我唔小心啫。
小倩，除低件衫，幫你補翻佢啊！
Very recognizably a Chinese subject. I mean, it radiates Chineseness, I think you could say. At the same time, it's learned all kinds of lessons from Western movies. That camera prowling along the ground to signify the spirit's approach. I mean, anybody who sat through The Evil Dead will immediately recognize where this visual idea comes from. And there are quite a number of other things in the picture that have recognizable roots in Western horror movies, especially that new breed of Sam Raimi type horror film. And it's very clear that Tsui Hark and Ching Su-dong, who made the film, sat down and studied all this stuff on video before they made the film.
Art-wise, the art on it is very good. It's very attractive. I mean, you can identify with it wherever you come from. Oh, this is Chinese, good, artistic, you know, visually, the aesthetics of it is good.
As always, where Tsui led, others follow. And the enormous success of a Chinese ghost story in 1987 meant dozens of imitations. Hong Kong movies went ghost crazy, and for a while at least, it seemed as if there were nymphs everywhere. This, for example, is Portrait of a Nymph, which used the same male and female lead as Tsui's A Chinese Ghost Story, but lacked the beauty and style of its predecessor. Not all of the fantasy films inspired by a Chinese ghost story were straightforward imitations. Some of them were much gentler pieces altogether, like the ghostly romance story Esprit d'Amour. Tsui, meanwhile, has once again moved on. Here in a crowded, run-down part of Hong Kong Island, he's hard at work on a tough thriller which reflects the growing political unease over Hong Kong's return to mainland China in 1997.
For so many years, we've been trying to work with the audience here to make them accept whatever we're trying to do, such as the emotional side, such as the political side, as well as, you know, like the style, the content, the way we express the story. The most important element in the film is the passion, the romantic feeling of friendship, the brotherhood. And that's lacking for so long in Hong Kong film. Well, we believe in 1997 because it's a very critical year for Hong Kong people. And for this whole decade before 1997, people are looking for some very vague future of what they are doing. Some people migrate to other countries, some people stay here, but their future is something they very vague, they couldn't get hold of.
Within our circle, we always look forward to his next film. What is he going to come up with this time, sort of? If the market is down, we say, well, why don't Tsui think of something? Well, why isn't he doing anything? Sometimes I would just sit together with him for 10 hours and just to figure out what's wrong with our market, traditional market, or how do we crack into the international market.
This is Tsui's most recent film, Peking Opera Blues. It's a period drama set in the 1920s, filled with extraordinary images. It's his first film to really attract international interest, but he has no plans at the moment to leave Hong Kong for Hollywood.
I will only make film for the Chinese audience because that's the people I understand most. It's difficult to make film for everywhere because the best way to make film that you would really feel excited about is because you make it out of your experience as well as out of your liking or disliking.
This final scene illustrates Tsui at the peak of his powers as a director. It's a truly stunning sequence.
A second.
There we are. I'm on the set of a brand new movie. It's called The Bride of the Reanimator. It's a sequel to one of the most successful low-budget horror movies of recent years. A film that took an old 1930s pulp story and made it one of the fastest and funniest living dead movies ever. The director's name was Stuart Gordon, and the film was Herbert West, Reanimator. I met up with Stuart Gordon in one of his favourite spots in Los Angeles, the prehistoric La Brea tar pits. Among the life-size models of ancient mammals, I asked him how the film had started.
Someone said, well, have you ever read Herbert West Reanimator? And I'd never heard of it. And I went to the library, and it turned out that the book had been out of print for years. I mean, I think since it was originally, published in the 20s. and I had to put in a request for it, you know, and it was in their special collections. And 6 months later, I got a postcard saying that I could come to the library and read it there, but I wouldn't be allowed to take it out of the library. And I got there, and they gave me this book, and it was like pulp, an old pulp book, and the pages were literally crumbling in my hands, you know, as I was turning the pages. And so I said, I better Xerox this thing. And that's how I found the story.
How much did you actually raise for the movie? Was it a big budget?
It was under $1 million. I think it ended up being about $800,000.
Which is a tiny amount.
It is. The whole movie was shot in 22 days.
We all want to retain our personalities in some idyllic afterlife. We all pray for some miracle, some drug, potion, pill. Perhaps, though, it takes something else. Perhaps it takes desire, an obsessive desire. Perhaps it takes... We will discuss the location of the will in the brain structure at another time. Mr. West, I suggest you get yourself a pen. Class dismissed.
How can you teach such drivel? These people are here to learn, and you're closing their minds before they even have a chance.
What are you here for, Mr. West?
You know, you should have stolen more of Gruber's ideas, then at least you'd have ideas.
Mr. West!
How did you come to cast Jeffrey Combs in that role?
Well, he walked in, and he was Herbert West. I mean, he really was. It was funny because in Lovecraft's story, West is described as having blonde hair and blue eyes and being very clean-cut looking. And Jeffrey doesn't really look like that at all, although he does have this kind of sort of, I don't know, childlike quality that I think is similar to Lovecraft's West. But he had that incredible intensity.
You spend most of the films in a kind of state of a mad intensity. How do you get yourself into that state of being?
That's all I do.
The thing about West that you get from Lovecraft's story, and I tried to get in the movie, is that this is a guy who only wants to do one thing. His entire life is dedicated to bringing the dead back to life. And conquering death, I guess is what you'd say, which is a wonderful dream. You know, it's one of those things that doctors have been trying to do forever. And there are doctors I found out that are actually working on, you know, serums very similar to Herbert West, you know, in real life.
We can defeat death. We can achieve every doctor's dream. You'll be famous and live lifetimes.
You haven't done this on people.
I've done all I can here. I'll need new lab space. You will help me.
How would you describe the character you play in the reanimated films?
Obsessed. Totally obsessed, linear, no diversion from his appointed goal in life, which is the highest goal that anyone should attain, which is the creation of life, or the recreation of life.
Do you agree that he's dead now? Do you agree that he's dead now?
West?
No.
He's just got the blinders on. Doesn't see anything except his goal, which is, I think, for a lot of people that see this movie, I think that they probably appreciate that, whether they want to admit it or not. There is something admirable about someone who will not stop.
In the brain? Of course. Don't expect it to tango. It has a broken back.
Why'd you make that noise?
Birth is always painful. He's dead. Twice.
I spent a lot of time in the morgues of America, you know, doing the research on this movie. And I've discovered that the way that death is portrayed in film has nothing to do with There's no basis in reality whatsoever. You know, they always make the people look gray and they put dark circles under their eyes and maybe some blood in their mouths and that's it, you know. But I got a chance to meet some pathologists who were all too happy to have someone to talk to because no one ever visits them down in the morgue. And they showed me all of they took me on a tour that I'll never forget.
We failed. Come on, let's go. Somebody will be coming any minute. He failed, not I.
Mr. Kane, Mr. Daniel Kane, please report to the security desk, level L.
Oh, God. Cover him up. Let's go.
Medically, that what they were doing was they were trying to kind of jumpstart a person's brain, I guess is what you'd say. And it was like sort of the equivalent of adrenaline that they were giving these corpses. I wanted to depart from, you know, the Romero approach, to have the zombies be like speed freaks. You know, that they were completely charged up. They'd just gotten like this voltage shot through them, which is what I would tell the actors that were playing the zombies. They'd pretend that you've just gotten, you know, stuck your finger in a light socket. And, you know, that all of your nerves are just firing and you just can't stop moving. And it was good. It worked out real well.
Perhaps the most enduring and endearing image of the film is the corpseless head of Dr. Hill, the former lecturer with whom West has argued. West now makes the foolish mistake of bringing it back to life.
Yes. Parts. I've never done whole parts.
The head was either stuck up through a tabletop and the appliances on the performer, or through a wall, or draped in black, and the sets, which were lit brilliantly by Mac Ahlberg, so that you could make all these little things hidden to the eye. And of course, we worked very, very closely with Stuart, whose vision it really was, who worked out all of these little things in great detail. There wasn't a visual effect, post-production visual effect in the entire movie.
Yes, Doctor. It's Herbert West. What are you thinking? How do you feel? You?
I think Reanimator is probably one of the best horror films in the last 5 years. I wouldn't classify it purely as horror. It has a lot of dark absurdity in it. Stuart has a very fine grasp of what is disturbing to look at. And he has a great ability to milk those disturbing moments. It's almost like a huge absurdist comedy with very, very black humor.
I think that laughter is the antidote for fear. And so you can, when you're afraid, the laughter breaks the fear. And so what I tried to do in Reanimator was to kind of build some tension and then have a laugh and let the audience blow it off and start cranking it up again. We knew that there were certain techniques that we didn't want to use. You know, we knew that we did not want to have a guy with his shoulders built up to here because what that would do is it would make his arms look like an orangutan. I mean, he would have like these 6-foot-long arms. We also knew that we couldn't really use a mechanical head because the actor had all sorts of dialogue and things that he had to be able to do while, in a decapitated form. Most of them were stage techniques, but by varying them, I think we kept the audience off balance. They weren't sure exactly how we were accomplishing it all.
Ah, Mr. West, I'm actually glad to see you. It saves me the trouble of having to send for you.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head get a job in a sideshow?
Why an intelligent young man like yourself should make such a foolish, fatal mistake of coming here to challenge me.
Oh, I have a plan.
So do I.
Reanimator has become legendary. It's the classic example of a film on a very low budget, but because it was filled with good ideas, became something extraordinary and pushed itself beyond expectations.
Quiet! Sit. Action.
Now, The Reanimator is set to return in a sequel, directed not by Stuart Gordon, who is busy on other projects, but by producer Brian Usner.
Battery died. Okay, right away.
Although it's a fairly recent film, Reanimator is already considered a classic of modern horror. Is it a daunting prospect taking on the sequel?
Oh yeah, it's set up to lose. How can you win in a situation like this? I'm well aware of that. But on the other hand, the way I look at it is a picture that's going to it's getting attention already. There's no doubt, unless it's a complete disaster production value-wise, which it's not, it'll get play. People go to see it. Bring this fellow in here. Oh, come here a second. This is an example of a poor fellow that watched too many horror movies. How about the real person? How about the real girl? Can we get her over here? Then we could do him beating the door right now and get that out. The body double? Yeah, let's see if we can get the body. Do we have any girl here that's kind of white-skinned?
The first one was about reanimating the dead, and this one is about the creation of new life. It's very Frankensteinian and in its overtones and gothic.
But much of the success of the film will, of course, depend on the special effects. Just exactly what new things can John Buechler do with Dr. Hill's head?
In Bride of Reanimator, we're doing many variations of the Dr. Hill head. When we first find Dr. Hill, he's been crushed horribly. He's been squeezed and disintegrated almost. So when we find him in a carnival sideshow, he's got a big dent in his head. He does, however, go through some reconstructive surgery and is turned into the nice, smooth, perfect Dr. Hill that we all know and love. But additionally, we get to do some more fun things with him. We, in fact, graft some bat wings onto his head, and he can then fly around and do as much mischief as he'd like.
Leave that thing here. Teddy and I go everywhere together. We're best friends. Come on! Not this time, Tootsie. You'll travel faster solo. Teddy will get you for that.
Stuart Gordon, meanwhile, has been hard at work directing other films like From Beyond and this one, The Dolls.
What do you like about this place? What is it about
the La Brea tar pits? This is a wonderful, you know, first of all, in America, there are very few places that are very old. But here's a place that's millions of years old. That this tar pit has been here forever. And I think it's kind of it's sort of symbolic of Los Angeles and Hollywood in a way, and that it's this pit where enormous animals would get brought down and picked apart by little scavengers. So I think there's some symbolic value here as well.
What are the things behind us?
These are giant land sloths, which I also thought were kind of appropriate so that, you know, I can be the third sloth in this group. But these are, you know, very nice, peaceful animals and, you know, they minded their own business and are, of course, extinct. So there's a lesson there, too.
They weren't suited for life in Hollywood.
They couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the pressure.
Ba 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 dang dang dang, ba 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 dang dang ding dong do. Blue moon, beep beep moon, blue moon, beep beep moon.
Boy, that was great.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Pittsburgh. This is the massive Three Rivers Stadium, home of the world-famous baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. But it's also the home of the two men who took zombies out of the graveyard and put them back where they really belong, on the big screen.
Strike three!
Get ready to meet the kings of modern horror, Tom Savini and George A. Romero. This is Evans City Cemetery, located about 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh. And it was here in 1968 that the opening scenes of a low-budget black and white horror film were shot. A movie that has since become a modern classic and has had an influence on every major horror film made since then. All the more remarkable then that the film was the first feature to be produced by a small local advertising group. The film was The Night of the Living Dead, and the director, cinematographer, editor and co-author was George A. Romero.
Interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact.
Night of the Living Dead has all the ingredients of a corny B movie, but it's now generally regarded as the most groundbreaking horror film ever. For the first time, the public were treated to graphically realistic scenes such as this.
There was no MPAA at that point. There was no ratings board at that point. So there was no panel of experts that were issuing dictates or reviewing films and saying, well, you can leave this in, but you have to take that out. But there was this unwritten law which came from, over the course of years, you had to sort of stand back and be polite and just show the shadow and not show the knife entering flesh. And I just didn't see, I didn't know why. And, I guess from having been weaned on EC comic books and things like that, I just, well, why can't we do that? And why hasn't anyone done it? I didn't think so much that we were breaking down barriers as probably my first thought was, well, why didn't anyone ever do it this way?
The film was financed and produced by Image 10, a small Pittsburgh company that George founded with several friends. Their only previous experience had been local television commercials like this one.
For a natural man, and I take my pleasure, natural as I can, where there ain't no pleasure, like a natural brew, tall and cold, and Duke is a natural beer for the natural man.
George and I were having lunch at Sam Reaney's bar, a bar similar to this diner, and which is out of business now. And we were kind of discouraged about doing commercials and the fickleness of the clients. And I said, what if we got 10 of us together, just 10 friends and the people that we work with every day, and everybody kicked in $600, and we'd have $6,000. Could we do any kind of black and white movie on that? We should be able to do something, especially if we made a horror movie, we should be able to do something better than these creatures in rubber masks or giant spiders or whatever. So George got all excited and he said, we're going to make a movie. Bam! He hit the tabletop and all the bottles and the ashtrays jumped and all the patrons stared at us, and that was it. We were going to make a movie. We did. We put together $6,000 and got started.
The film examines the plight of a group of people who have taken refuge in a farmhouse as the bizarre phenomenon of the living dead begins. Shot in grainy black and white and with extensive use of handheld camera, it has a documentary feel to it that adds to the terror, with many critics interpreting its style and bleak tone as a critique of late 1960s America.
As far as the tone of the piece, I think it just came from the anger of the times. It was 1968, and nobody was in a very gleeful mood about the way the world was going, and so it just seemed appropriate to put those themes into the film as well.
The most potent image in the film is Romero's realistic, slow-moving zombies.
zombies were all friends of ours and people from, we had a film company, myself and some of the other guys that were involved had a film company. We were doing commercials and industrial films here in town. And there were a lot of people from the ad game that all wanted to come out and be zombies, and a lot of them did, and they were all just friends of ours. And some people from around Evans City who just thought it was a goof and came out to get caked with makeup and lumber around.
I played Helen Cooper, the lady in the basement, and also a ghoul, one of the ghouls who eats the insect on the tree. We were short of ghouls that day.
I was Harry Cooper, the one who said it was a lot safer in the basement because there were a million weak spots up here on the first floor.
And he was right.
As it turned out, I was right, yes.
Look, you two can do whatever you like. I'm going back down to the cellar, and you better decide, because I'm going to board up that door, and I'm not going to unlock it again no matter what happens.
If you box yourself in the cellar and those things get in the house, you've had it. At least up here you have a fighting chance.
Yeah, it looks like about 8 or 10 out there now.
There's more than there were. There are a lot out back, too.
Night of the Living Dead premiered here in Pittsburgh on October the 2nd, 1968. And from day one, it was met with outrage and controversy. Perhaps the least flattering review appeared in Variety magazine, which described the film as an unrelieved orgy of sadism and amateurism of the first order. Despite, or perhaps even because of such reviews, the movie was a massive hit on the drive-in circuit, its audience growing steadily as its reputation for unmitigating horror spread by word of mouth.
At the moment we tried to get distribution, everyone tried to convince us to take out a lot of material, change the ending, and the usual, you know, the expected things that from distributors, that the kind of complaints that you get from people that want to distribute a movie for the purposes of making money. But we stuck to it, and we finally got a distributor who ripped us off but showed the movie. So, you know, I don't know whether to complain or to be thankful. You know, I have never really... There's all this sort of myth and legend that's risen about how much we were ripped off, and God knows, I haven't been able to figure it out, but you know, there are several of us that have gotten careers out of it, and it's been a very lucky thing. So I never sort of look back and complain about the way we were treated, because the film got a pretty fair shake.
Probably the most groundbreaking and influential aspect of the movie is its ironic and unhappy ending. Everyone dies. I asked Romero how he felt today about the new realism he brought to screen violence.
When On the Waterfront came out, everyone was in shock because he told the priest to go to hell, you know. And I just thought that, in retrospect, gradually, that, well, we were sort of just one more indication of time moving on, and that, you know, couldn't wait for them. Remember when they started to say shit, and then I couldn't wait for the day when you could say fuck. And, you know, just because it all seems so silly to me that why not, you know?
But do you think that kind of progress is always a good thing? Because now the kind of trend, which to an extent you started by showing people eating things and you showing the gore, has now got to the stage where often the films have very little content as opposed to that.
I don't think that's the reason, though. I mean, of course, I think that always happens. I mean, when a door first opens, you get this flood of people that misuse and abuse things. You know, but the door has to be opened, or else you'll never be able to use it properly.
Romero followed Night of the Living Dead with 3 films. There's Always Vanilla, Jack's Wife and The Crazies, all of which were flops at the box office. So to help pay back the debt he now found himself in, Romero directed a series of sports documentaries for television while he developed the right project with which to return to the big screen, set, as always, in one of the suburbs of Pittsburgh. This is the small town of Braddock, Pennsylvania, where the once thriving steel mills that provided employment for most of the population are now shut down. It's almost as if the life has been sucked out of the local community, which made it an especially appropriate location for Romero's next foray into the world of low-budget horror. Martin, made in 1976, tells a story of a young man who might or might not be a vampire.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu. Reside ergo in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritu et Sancti. Vampire. First, I will save your soul. Then, I will destroy you.
Tony Buba, whose house this belongs to, and his family, his grandmother lives in this house, and we shot a great portion of Martin here in this house. And we were in the 3rd floor attic where Martin slept. And she was quite concerned that we had a fondness for one another. And she was quite concerned and wasn't at all too sure exactly what they were doing to me up there.
And she had good reason to be worried, as Martin marked the first collaboration between Romero and the most sought-after special effects man in the business, fellow Pittsburghian Tom Savini.
This guy started out as a normal person. He reaches up and through some mystical Egyptian curse, he melts down. We had smoke and bubbles coming out, and his eyes exploded, and he screams in pain. The real actor was below with his real hands doing all this when he fell apart, you know. This is what's left of him, and he has all this congealed blood, so he's a little sticky right now.
Where do you keep these things? Do you have any of this stuff at home?
Oh, these are all in my bedroom, yeah. My daughter plays with Lizzie. My daughter's about as tall as Lizzie, and she plays with her occasionally. You know.
What does your wife think about all this?
You know, my wife is not impressed. She'd rather have a normal bedroom, I think.
That first read you get on him is absolutely true. I mean, he's so energetic and so responsive and so in love with the work that it's very hard to deny Tom, you know. And we found that we could work together comfortably and really truly collaborate. And I haven't made a film without Tom on the set now since then, in one capacity or another.
Martin was the first time I had to think of how to fool people into believing what they were actually seeing was happening. The stake in the neck, George said, well, look, we'll just go to a slaughterhouse and get a sheep or a lamb or something and do a close-up of the stake going in there. And I remember saying, no, we can do it so you actually see the guy's face and the stake going in his neck. He says, well, how? I says, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And that's what I mean. That was the first time I had to think of the illusion of special makeup effects.
You weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to be there.
But despite his behaviour, the film manages to remain deliberately vague as to whether or not Martin is really a vampire.
That's always been left a little ambiguous. I think it's kind of interesting for people to see it and maybe make a choice for themselves. He was certainly psychologically disturbed. But I don't know whether I want to make a statement as to whether he is or isn't. I think it's better left up in the air.
I warned you, Martin. Nobody in the town, I said. Nobody in the town. I heard about Mrs. Santini. Do you think I believe she killed herself? Do you really think I believe this? Your soul is that, Nosferatu.
Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do.
This was an important place in their lives.
Romero finally returned to the zombies with which he made his name in 1978, 10 years after their first appearance, in the bigger, bolder and bloodier Dawn of the Dead. The posters for Dawn of the Dead exclaimed, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." Maybe they should have read, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will go shopping," because this is where most of the movie takes place, and the massive Monroeville shopping mall a few miles from downtown Pittsburgh. In the movie, a handful of humans hide out in the storerooms above these shops, while the living dead wander aimlessly around below them, stumbling on the escalators and dragging now useless consumer appliances behind them.
Shooting in the mall was hell. I mean, we couldn't get in there until all the shops were closed, which not only closed, but cleaned up, and so that meant 10 or 11 at night. And then there was a tavern and a restaurant and a sort of a disco, a little disco that was open until I think 2 in the morning, the last place, and we couldn't shoot sound until after that.
For some reason, some society of senior citizens would show up at the mall at like 6 o'clock in the morning for exercise. They would just walk around the mall. So there was this one corner where about 35 senior citizens were walking toward the corner, and about 300 hideous zombies, and they met. See? There were no fatalities, fortunately.
It's in Dawn of the Dead that the team of Savini and Romero really came into their own. Although it's more of an action-adventure shocker than straightforward horror film, Romero takes the story of the zombies one logical step further. As society slowly collapses, 4 of the few surviving humans seek refuge in this vast mall, constantly on guard against the hordes of living dead just waiting for a chance to eat them.
Most of them were assembly line zombies. We would make generic appliances, small, medium, and large, and if you fit that particular size, that's the zombie that you would be.
These creatures cannot be considered human. They prey on humans. They do not prey on each other. That's the difference. They attack and they feed only on warm human flesh. Intelligence, seemingly little or no reasoning power, but basic skills remain are more remembered behaviors from normal life.
Some zombies were just people who looked like they were fresh from a funeral parlor, made up real pretty like a mortician would do, and he walked around in a nice business suit. And, so yes, we did try to think of making them look like people who had died in great ways, great ways, yeah. How do you die in a great way? Interestingly, visceral, gory ways,
When I'm writing a script, I'll talk to Tom and I'll say, hey, have you dreamed up anything in the last few weeks that you really want to try? And I'll write it in. That kind of stuff, We just have this sort of giggly time dreaming stuff up together.
A person listening to our conversations, it would have been incredible, But for us, it's something that we do every day. I mean, I look around you, there are severed heads, there's people with their faces melted off, and for us, it's an art. It's there's a lot of sculpture involved. Most people, when they see the film, they just see gore. They just click into the gore, and they don't realize how much sculpture and mechanics, photography and mechanisms and chemistry goes into it.
People that like it just like it the way people like roller coaster rides. And if you like it, and if you're a fan of it, you can't get enough of it, and you want to see it well executed. And Tom is one of those guys that is executing it well. And so I think that's why people are, you know, in love with the films. I mean, he has his own fans that will go see a Tom Savini film, you know, not caring about who the director is, or who the writer is, or who any of the other people are. And you know, that's the group. I haven't examined it to find out whether there's a real sociological reason, but I've always just sort of thought of it something that's sort of come up with rock and roll and with punk and with this attitude of let's, you know, sort of fart on the establishment or something, and it's always been part of that subculture. I guess I don't think of it quite as irreverently as some of those things. But to me, it's part of, it's Grand Guignol. You know, there's always been a part of some people's minds, I think, that are sort of tuned into it. You know.
Roger!
In the great British tradition of Jim will fix it, I've decided to exploit my position on this programme in order to fulfil a boyhood ambition. Tom Savini has graciously agreed to make me up as a zombie. Tom, where do we begin?
Well, let's begin by slapping this little bit on your face here.
Lovely.
Got some adhesive in there. Now we'll just position it. You're all done. See you later.
Okay, Tom, thanks a lot.
Okay, now we'll just continue. Okay.
I haven't worn one of these for weeks. The whole process was neither as painful nor time-consuming as I'd expected, taking only about 20 minutes. And there you have it, a remarkable improvement, even if I do say so myself. I know you served in Vietnam for a while. Mm-hmm. Did that have any effect on the work you do now? Has that any influence in any way?
I get asked that question a lot. In fact, one magazine said that my whole is based on my experiences in Vietnam, and that's not true. I was interested in makeup, as you know, from the age of 12. I did see a lot of first-hand, anatomically correct gore, you know, and I think the most important part of that was if we have to create a dead body or create a situation, there's a certain feeling you get from seeing the real thing that can't be achieved. I mean, one guy can make a fake head or a fake body and position it somehow, but there's something about what I saw, the cadavers. For example, do you ever see a movie where someone's about to die and they're talking, they got their last cigarette and someone's holding them up, and you know they're all screwed up, you know, and they're about to die, and then when they die, they turn their head and close their mouth and achieve this peaceful countenance, you know. You know, you relax, your jaw hangs slack, you might even drool, you know. That's from seeing the real stuff, you know, that's what makes it different. You know, there's a certain body positioning. I mean, someone might die with one eye open and a smile on their face, you know, and or someone might die in this frozen, scared position, you know. You don't just close your mouth and achieve this angelic appearance, you know. So I think having seen the real thing, if I'm creating a gory effect and it doesn't give me the same feeling that I felt when I saw the real stuff, I'm not satisfied.
Throughout his career, Romero has worked almost exclusively here in Pittsburgh, and like all regional filmmakers, his chosen town has heavily influenced his work.
there's always been a sort of an ethic and a reality to the place. I mean, people don't lie about much here. You know, things are the way they are, and it's just part of that. It's a part of the American heartland that's, I guess, similar to the farmland, only it's the other side of you know, it's the other side of commerce. It's that industrial strength that this country used to have. It's a thing of the past, but it's still reflected in the muscle of the kind of people, I think, that live in places like this.
The final film in the Dead trilogy was initially intended to be an epic. It was going to be the Gone with the Wind of zombie films. George wanted to take the story of the undead about as far as he possibly could. But to raise the money needed to make a film of that scope, he would have had to cut back on the gore and violence, something he wasn't prepared to do. Instead, he pared down the script and made a much smaller, more economical film. But even so, to my mind, The Day of the Dead is still the most gruesome, visceral and intense of all three films.
About one of, not necessarily the last, but one of probably several nests of humanity that are left. It was a military group. They were there for research. And of course now the need for what they're doing is all but gone, because with society gone, you know, who are they going to report to if they find anything out? And all of a sudden when that structure is gone, they don't quite know how to behave, or they cling to old behaviors, and no one talks to each other and nobody communicates. And there's this sort of tragedy about the lack of human communication causing chaos and causing a collapse of even this small little pie slice of society.
George's films always avoid these stereotypes and cliches of Hollywood. In Day of the Dead, by far the strongest character is a woman, played by Laurie Cardille.
He could have made me this sexy little twit, bouncing around with a gun and, you know, much more the sexual element. And but he made her intelligent and strong, and in fact, whenever I would try to make her a little more emotional, he would just not allow me to do that.
What happened to this one? It was too unruly. I couldn't handle it. I had to destroy it. We can still get information from it.
Dr. Logan, we are losing the cooperation of the men. I'm not even sure they'll go off top when we run out of the specimens we already have. I'm not sure they won't just try to shut us down completely.
Well, I'll show them results. I'll show them results. I'll show them that these creatures can be domesticated even without the surgery. Knowing what they are, we can begin to approach them properly, condition them, control them. We've got to do this, sir. It's our only hope. Yes, this is Major Cooper.
Jesus God, Logan. Do you know what they'll do to you if they find out about this? Do you know what they'll do to all of us?
They'll never find out. He can't be recognized.
With a couple of exceptions, the zombies are more likable than most of the humans, most of the living humans in
In Day of the Dead, yeah. There's not too many people in Day of the Dead that you can that you'd want to bring home. But well, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the zombies. I mean, they really don't do anything intentionally wrong.
In fact, the friendliest character in Day of the Dead is a zombie, the almost lovable Bub.
I've always been sympathetic towards them, I think. I think I've always treated them sympathetically, even the ones that are, you know, that get the humans in the protagonist in the most dire situations. I never make them out to be just just monsters.
It's not only the last of the zombie films, but also the goriest, with Savini and Romero really pulling out all the stops.
Day of the Dead, we tore a guy in half and we filled his fake body with intestines and chicken parts and things like that, and he was trapped underneath the floor so that we could attach this body to him. Now he was trapped, and unfortunately the entrails that we had in our refrigerator, someone unplugged the refrigerator 2 weeks before this, and they were rank. I mean, they were really awful. So the zombies in the scene had their noses stuffed with wax so they couldn't smell it, but this poor guy trapped in the floor, he was ready to throw up when it was over. The smell was incredible.
So will this be the last George Romero zombie picture, or can zombie fans look forward to more after this one?
I don't know. As I say, I have an idea now, which I'd really love to do. If I can work out the sort of legal way to do it, I'll probably do it. I'd love to do it. I'd love to, you know, I'd love to do another zombie picture.
So you're not sick of zombies yet?
No, I'm not. I'll never get sick of the zombies. I just get sick of producers.
But although George seems to have kicked the zombie habit, Tom Savini certainly hasn't given them up. He's currently planning to remake the original Night of the Living Dead.
The original film is over in about 50 minutes, and then it continues on. So the remake will be a remake and plus a little bit of a sequel, you know, to the original film. It'll be in color, of course. We have to invent a new way to portray the zombies. In Night of the Living Dead, it's the birth of the dead, birth of the zombies, so they're not quite as elaborate and far gone as, say, Day of the Dead. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of things we have to work out for that film, but I think it'll be a ballsy, exciting remake.
As for George, he's just finished a thriller called Monkey Shines and is currently working on an adaptation of a story by Edgar Allan Poe. But despite his reputation, I asked him if he found it frustrating to be known only as a director of horror films.
I wish that people wouldn't use pigeonholes, but they do, and so it's sometimes disturbing to me when there's something, particularly when there's something that I really like, or a script that I really like, or a novel that I really like, and try to go after. And when someone says, well, gee, that's not your kind of thing, is it? You know, I don't know. When you want to do something like make movies, you just want to make movies. You know, you don't grow up saying, gee, I want to make war movies, or I want to make jungle movies, or, you know, I just want to make movies. And I'm sure that there is, and I'm sure that certain filmmakers, and probably myself included, have a certain kind of an affinity or more talent for one thing than another. But it's disturbing that you don't, because it's such an expensive medium, you just don't get a chance to try your hand at things. And so that's bothersome. On the other hand, it's given me a great career and a comfortable life and everything else, and so I can't really complain about it in that sense. And I do love it. I love the genre, so I don't, you know, it's cool.